It worked! Yes! Oh, yeah, but that was a surprise for some people. Yeah, I've been trying to do tune up the intro and outro to this a bit. So I wanted to add a little bit of music, a little bit of that, and obviously get what is now kind of my signature theme song, shall we say, on the intro and outro, because as much as that 80s one was fine, it had a few Easter eggs like my birthday and stuff like that in it, it was kind of like a little bit tacky. It was a little bit tacky, shall we say. So hopefully that's modernized things a bit more. But hello, Surf, hello, and hello to everybody who's tuning into this, slowly but surely, obviously, and hopefully you can hear the audio and everything's good. So let me know if there's any problems with the audio and I'll try and fix it. But yes, thank you everybody. This is, what is this now? Saturday, 8 o'clock on British Standard Time. And this is the aftermath for the top 100. So, hello Kabuki Kid, and hello Fernando. So, as people already know, I worked hard on somewhat hard on the top 100. The top 100 was a bit of a killer, shall we say. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. It's always good fun, but man, does it, really take it out of me. So it's always a bit of a kick of that. And, apparently, heading on to 15,000 subscribers. Whoa, I wonder if we can get to 15,000 by the end of this live stream. That would be an unexpected pleasure. But yes, where's my playlist? I've normally got playlists. So for those who don't know what exactly I'm talking about, every year I do a top 100. So top 100 games of all time. Here we go. So big playlist here. And is that working? Nope, it's taking it to a different thing. Never mind. Oh, well. Never mind. But basically, I do a top 100 every year. So you can see, here we go, top 100 games of all time, 30 to 21. There's the 20 to 11. There's the 10 through 1. And if I go all the way down, I can get to eventually my 100 to 91. Basically, I do this every year as a kind of anniversary thing for the, the anniversary of the channel, shall we say, when I first started actually doing this. And I just got into a thing, you know, I watched the Dice Tower Top 100s and I love doing it. It's a good amount of fun. So that being said, I figured, well, I do it every year and I've changed the format every now and again. Sometimes I've done quick videos, sometimes I've done pre-recorded. Last year, I think I tried live streams for mine. And it's been hit or miss. I've been trying to figure out which way works. And I think the way I just did it works best, really. It is a lot of effort. It does take it out of me. But 10 pre-recorded videos, I think, just kind of works. You know, maybe I'll be able to trim it down just to cut on the editing time. But like I say, for 10 videos of about 30 odd minutes each on average seemed to work quite well. It got the views, it got the attention, and obviously it was great fun to do it. I mean, I was like hyper by the time I got to my 20 to 11 and 10 through 1. So what the idea of this stream is for is to basically talk about stuff in relation to it. So we've already had the top 100. Hopefully you've watched it, or hopefully you've watched at least the top 50. If you haven't watched all 10 videos, fair enough, but watch at least the top 5. That would be great. And you know, and on that basis, I wanted to just talk about games that fell off the list, games that didn't quite make the list. So, and also just to answer any questions the live chat has to do with the top 100 in general. Although save the questions till a little bit later if you can. So first up, what do I actually do with this top 100? Well, I need to give a shout out to Meeple. Meeple is the people I use. So this is the website right here. Basically, they do a podcast and they do their own thing anyway, but the primary thing that I use is this board game ranking engine. So here you basically get to rank your games, and it's been improved over time, so it's had that. Let's discard my previous one. So this is not an actual, no, as I say, it's gone to the, this is the problem when you share a tab rather than thing. Let's sort that out. There we go. So here, this is not an actual list. This is like an example list. So this is not my list, put it that way. But the idea is that what you can do is you can select a category. So board games. Choose to include expansions. No. I could put in my Farmer Giles. I think that's my username. But basically, you can put in your Board Game Geek username, so website database, and let's see if it's gonna work for me. It's going a bit slow at the moment, but all right, maybe we'll just try it. Maybe it's a little bit slow because it has got to come from Board Game Geek. Timed out BGG servers may be busy. All right, well, let's try the BGG search then. All right, so let's just type in some random titles, so even stuff that I don't like. Well, I'll tell you what, yeah, let's add everything to do with brass. Here we go. Every single thing that's got to do with brass. And then I'll add some again. Pandemic. Yeah, this will be funny. Pandemic. Look at all these pandemic games. Yeah, it just shows how things have been going like that. But anyway, once I got it, so let's say I got these 22 items here. Normally what happens is that you put your username in and it brings out your entire collection of games. So I can do it from that. But this is the silly little version that I'm showing. Like, if you wanted to just rank 10 games, this is the way you do it. But when you do your whole collection, you do it by Board Game Geek collection method. But here we go. So I've got the list, and then I save the list. That's fine. Yes, log in. Save my list. Live stream example. There we go. Save new. And there we go. So I've got the list. Now, this bit on the right here allows me to rank the items, and hopefully this will work on the live stream. Here we go. So what tends to happen is you get this. So it goes through all the ones that you've made a list, and you basically pick yay or nay, well, which ones you like out of the two. It picks two at random. So here I've got Pandemic, Hot Zone, North America, and something I've never even heard of called Brass Empire. All right, well, let's go for Pandemic. Okay, goes away. Then I look at these two. Which do I prefer out of these two pandemics? Answer: The Cure. Which do I prefer out of these two games? Obviously, Pandemic Legacy. Here, probably Pandemic Legacy. I don't know. Reign of Cthulhu's all right. Rapid Response or Brass Monkey game. Okay, anything that's called Brass Monkey's got to get a vote. You know, and basically, you just go through ranky rank, and as you can see, there's a progress bar on the top. I may have. Let's see if I can speed through this like really quickly. But basically, the progress bar will fill up. You'll get to the end eventually. Cool, for 22 items, it's taking a while. Bear in mind, this is 22 items. I put in 150 odd. So, yeah, takes a while. I have to do this over multiple days. But here you go. So it comes in, and then it gives you the ranking. So it tells you rank 1. Apparently, my favorite game out of these two was Brass Balls and Nerves of Steel. Go figure. Somehow Brass Birmingham managed to end up as my second favorite game, despite the fact I don't like it. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, how did Brass Birmingham beat all these other games and I wasn't even paying attention? That doesn't make any sense. But that's the idea, and you get this ranking, and then I export it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I do various shenanigans with it. I'm not going to show you the spreadsheet because it's boring, but essentially that's what I do. I get it in the spreadsheet, I compare the rankings to last year, I put the designers and the publisher names on so that I can see who ranks highest, and I will talk about that during the stream. So basically I've got all the statistics. That helps me do the list. And then I do the top 10 as you've seen already on the videos. And then this aftermath is a way of talking about it. And normally I do a pre-recorded aftermath. But this year I just thought, you know what, a live stream would be better. Because I had a few questions during the top 100. And I just think this is your opportunity to come to me and say. So with that said, let me go back to solo a minute and just see who's popped in. So what do we got there? Vincent, during football qualification matches, good thing I have two screens. I don't pay attention to football, so I have no idea what football is on, so I'm not too fussed about that. So sorry if it is getting in the way, but you know, but then that's football qualifying in the UK, isn't it? So surely the Americans have got no excuse. But okay. Hello to our turn. It was worth the effort. Loved watching this year. Some interesting movers and shakers. Yes, I do love comparing the stats on there. Thank you to Kabuki. Great top 100. You haven't watched any yet? How dare you? Nah, it's alright. Watch them in your own time. That's okay. Hello to Julian. Thanks for the top 100. As someone who owns a few board games already, it gave me lots of new ideas. And that I like. It's the same. All my top 10s and my top 100 should be like this. It's one thing to know, okay, these are the games I like. But for the most part, you should be just looking at them and just thinking, oh, that game sounds interesting, or that one's not really for me, making your own judgment. But I'm basically giving you mini reviews on 100 games, probably even more so, because I talk about other ones, and it is a nice little resource. Hello, Stevie. Hope you're in good health, stress-free, and no reflux. Good health, sort of. Work is still crunch time at the moment, but that's just the way it is for the next couple of months. Stress-free, as I say, work is a bit mad, but the blog stuff's good. And I do have at least a nice, lovely bit of my hometown cider here for lovely drink. Drink moderately and responsibly, kids. But, yep, I got something nice here. No reflux, though. No, the gastro refluxes have stopped ever since I was on the Meprazole. They've put me on half dosage now since my first month, and I've had the consultant meeting. And apparently, there's a little bit of damage down there in the throat area, but it's not too bad. It's a bit young for my age to have it, but the stress in the last year with lockdown, being alone, it's not something I'm comfortable with, and then work as well, kind of, I think, just added up and just made things a bit worse. I suspect as things mellow out and we get back to a bit of normality, things will settle down by themselves. But no, I mean, my gastro health is in pretty good stead at the moment. What else we got? On that same note, although I don't agree with many of your picks, I love your enthusiasm and I feel it's infectious. I do like to try and be passionate on my videos because there's nothing I hate more than listening to somebody talk monotone like the neutrals from Futurama. Tell my wife hello. It's like, it's not, I can't stand that kind of thing. It's like, if you're going to talk about your favorite games, be passionate about it. That's the way it works. Yeah, Brass did Brass win? Well, a Brass won, but not the actual Brass. What have we got there? Yeah, spreadsheets are boring, what do you mean? Well, I'm a tax accountant, I know what's boring about a spreadsheet. So, and yes, certainly Kabuki is the most busiest person on all the live discussions, but I'm glad to have her here. So, it's like, I'm just glad to have people that are in there. Brought to you by Taunton Cider. Yep, that works. And let's see, a very quickie question before I get started on what I'm talking about. Now that Paladins of the West Kingdom has an expansion, City of Crowns, I wonder if that will make you change your mind on this game. Even if you don't, 2 out of 3 in the trilogy ain't bad. I mean, I don't hate Paladins. It's just Paladins started off well for me, and then I kind of just burnt out on it. It just got very samey very quickly. So Paladins is the weakest of that trilogy for me. I don't think the expansion is going to make it any better. It's just going to make it longer and more complicated, which I wasn't crying out for more complexity in that game because it's already got enough happening. So it's kind of a bit like that, really. I don't think I'd like to try it, but I'm not that hyped about it. I find Top 100 very fascinating. Now, many folks agree on many games, but then disagree with others. I personally only take the good. As such, I will give Valley of Kings and Empires of Void 2 a chance. By all means, do. Great deck builder and great space game. You'd think the way you hyped Rune Stones, I would think it might be your favourite game of 2021. It's certainly one of my favourites I've been introduced to this year, although Spirit Island is more that, but yeah, you'd think that Queen Games would be giving me more royalties for the amount of videos I did for them on that, because I didn't get a review copy for Runestones. That was all me, but they know I love the game. You'd think they'd be in contact more, but well. But like I say, it certainly has been one of my favourite games I've been introduced to in 2021, but it's not a 2021 game, so don't expect it on the top 10. Right, anyway, let's take off the banner, because you already know who I am by now, hopefully, so hide that. Right, okay, let's move on to talking about... I've already talked about Pub Meeple. So as I say, Pub Meeple, show them support, use this ranking engine. I use it every year. Fantastic tool, and I wouldn't be able to do the top 100 without it. No chance. I just would not even try it. You can even do top 9 collages with this, apparently. This is something new. So these things that you've been seeing on Facebook all the time, I've not really used them that much in the past, once or twice, but yeah, you can do these collages now and regenerate the image. You can save it down and put it on Facebook. I should probably look at using these a bit more often. Yeah, this is new. This has only literally come in the last few months, I think, so not bad on that. All right, let's go to Board Game Geek on the side. Now, I have got my spreadsheet open on the side so that I can actually look at stats. So, why don't we go with games that fell off the list? So, when I was starting my top 100, I mentioned that 15 games fell off the list from last year, and most of them are just simply because there's 100 other better games. I mean, there's not really a case of, oh, this game sucks now, that's why I've taken it off the list. But there are some ones that were reasonably high up that fell off entirely, and there are reasons for that. And a lot of it could be down to whether it gets played often enough, or whether it's kind of a one-shot game and then you're kind of done with it, or whether it's just being too complicated for its own good. But there's certainly plenty of ones on there. I see that there's a bunch of football things in there. 1-0 to Netherlands to Montenegro. Well, I'm not a football expert, but isn't Montenegro a pretty bad team? So you should be winning that one, shouldn't you? Trust me, Vincent, if I come to visit you in the Netherlands, we're playing board games, not watching football. That's all I ask, all right? So, all right, let's talk about this. So I'm going to go from the bottom and go up and go through the 15 games. I'm just going to mention them on Board Game Geek briefly. So, first up, we have Broom Service, was my 100. That's now fallen off. I'm not going to say where they've ended up because we'll get to that later, but Broom Service is a cool game. I really enjoy it, and I still play it now and again, even with like less players than 5. It's one of the best games to play at 5. It seems to work pretty well. You know, pretty mean. You've got to be careful about like having your cards screwed over, and that it certainly does get people riled up. But yeah, it's just like fallen off. It's just literally there are 100 better games in it. You know, I think that mean factor is what's made it drop off. You know, I like to play this every now and again, but you can get like, you know, frustrated a little bit when things don't go well for you, put it that way. So that was my 100. 99 last, and bear in mind, when I say what rank it is, I'm talking about last year's rank. So that was 100 last year. And 99, which also fell off, was Small Islands. So Small Islands, this is the one that I've been saying is a replacement for Carcassonne now, and this is Mushroom Games. Lucky Duck Games have also got this now. And I do urge people to give this one a look if you're a Carcassonne fan. This one has the same deal, building the map with tiles, and it looks gorgeous, prettier than Carcassonne did. The twist with this, though, is that you're building up islands where you are trying to like collect different symbols in order to meet these objective cards, and you take a different objective card each round. So each round you're after a different way of scoring points, but in order to, if you meet the criteria, you put your houses on the map on the islands, and you can only have one per island, and you score them up. But the case is that everybody's working on this same map. So do you build up the island really big for yourself at the risk of maybe other people getting it? Is there enough places to put the house on because it could get stolen by someone else? And even who's going to end the round? The round ends when somebody puts their ship token out, but you only have one of them in the whole game. So over 4 rounds, you might play it early and then you don't get control over when the round ends later. It's a solid little game and a very good little solo mode in it as well. Beautiful, simple, it killed Carcassonne. As I say, I just haven't played it in a little while. Okay, next up we have, now this is a bit different. My 98, this has fallen off quite a bit. In fact, I won't lose sleep if I never play this game again. Not because I don't like it, but because this is an example of when it was too complicated for its own good. Like, way too complicated for its own good. This is On Mars. On Mars, I still think is a good, fun game. But there's a big problem with On Mars, and I sold my copy off my Lacerda shelf for this very reason. Well, before I get onto that, Kabuki, no, it did not kill Carcassonne the City because I've still not played Carcassonne the City. I still have not got a copy of it. But the idea with On Mars is that it's a good Lacerda game. It's fun. It's got a lot of moving parts. Way too many moving parts. This is just overcomplicated. Now, this is him going over a prototype. Where's the actual game? That would be better. So yeah, you got some pictures of the game here. Very nicely produced, very thinky, but it's just too complicated for its own thing. I mean, the rulebook, even though Paul Grogan had his hand in it, this is one of those games that's just nigh on impossible to explain anyway because of all the stuff that is in it, and the stuff doesn't link together in a very intuitive manner. So teaching this is a bugbear. It will take you minimum 3 hours to play every game of this. Even with like 2 players, it's kind of ridiculous. And it's just a fiddly game. It's fiddly, but it's fun. I do enjoy it, and I think it's a good game. But because it's like that, when I'm deciding on a Lacerda game to play, Lisboa is like borderline, wow, that's getting on a little bit too fiddly in complexity, but I still really like Lisboa. The others, though, Kanban and Gallerist and Minos, are easier to get to the table than this one. So when am I going to play On Mars? Pretty much never. So it just kind of it kind of got to that point where I just thought, you know what, it's fine. It was on the top 100. I've enjoyed it, but now I'm just never going to get to play it. So it's gone down a bit for me for that regard. So that definitely had to fall off the top 100. All right, skipping ahead to 96, we have a very good racing game. I still play it at my Portsmouth club a lot, and that is Downforce. Downforce is, really solid racing game, a re-implementation, reprint. I've got all the expansion maps for it, so I don't tend to play the basic maps ever now. But you basically play these cards, the color banners tell you which cars move, you move them how you want, but obviously you're sort of mucking up the other players rather than and helping yourself. But then you make bets on who you think's going to win, and you obviously try to win the race yourself. Oh, Mr. Barnacle, hello. But it's a really good fun game. I can play it with 6 players at my Portsmouth club. It's gateway level friendly, and I've pimped my copy out with these Mario figures that you can get. Other people have done this as well. I don't know if anyone's got any pictures though, but basically these cars, if you ever played Mario Kart Gamer, you can get the little Mario Kart cars that were in that, and basically they're the right size for this. So you basically replace the Formula 1 cars with Mario figures, and it's great. It just makes it look like a little Mario circuit. Granted, the colours don't gel entirely, like Donkey Kong has to be orange, and there's only a couple of black cars for it. I think you have to be Shy Guy. Someone's done it with the Cars Pixar things. That's pretty cool. But I can't find any examples here, but oh yeah, well there you go. Somebody's actually designed their own like coasters for it, in relation to this. But yeah, it's quite cool that you can do that with this game. Okay. What have we got? We had so far on here. Hello, Christian. Found it interesting that Journeys to Middle-earth was so much lower than Mansion's 2nd edition, even as a Lord of the Rings fan. Trying to decide which to get. Both of them are really good themes, and both of them are really solid games. I think the main reason that Lord of the Rings falls lower than Mansions of Madness is the fact that Mansions of Madness 2nd edition is scenario-based. So when you play Mansion of Madness, you play a scenario and it will last you anywhere from like 2 to 4 hours or something, depending on which one you're doing, and you do that scenario and then that's it. The problem with Journeys to Middle-earth is that yes, it's fun, it's really good fun, but it's a campaign, not standalone. You've got to play through a 15-odd mission campaign to finish the whole thing, and campaigns are a bit more problematic to get to the table and actually get them fully played. It took me forever to get through Descent Legends of the Dark. It's nice to be able to just get into a scenario, do it, pack it away, done, and still get a fulfilling story out of it without having to do an extended marathon of it. That's mainly the reason Mansions of Madness beats it. Honestly, do you like Lord of the Rings, or do you like Cthulhu more? And do you want the campaign, or do you want scenarios? Your answers to those 2 questions will tell you which one you ought to get. Okay. Carcassonne City is out of print forever. Yeah, tell me about it. Every time I see it sold by a third party, it's like 50 quid. It's like I'm not spending £50 on an old Carcassonne game. What have we got there? I'd be willing to bet that Endless Winter would pique your interest. To be fair, I love the look of it. The theme looks good. The pedigree behind it is good. And I did back it on Kickstarter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Weather Machine will be my first Lacerda game, or should I start with Lisboa? Oh, blimey. No. Lisboa and Weather Machine should not be your first. I mean, if you want your first Lacerda game, I more recommend Gallerist. Where's Gallerist? Yeah, Gallerist is a very good Lacerda game, and it's a very good rulebook, and it's definitely easier to get into. Lisboa is going to be quite a stretch. I have no idea about Weather Machine. I'm playing it later this month at Paul Grogan's GridCon, though. So I'll let you know my thoughts in the podcast following that convention. Description of On Mars makes me worried to back Weather Machine. Yeah, I'm probably going to back it, but I want to try it at the convention first before I back it. Hello to Victory, how you doing? And yep, everybody's. Oh God. All right, I can't. Let's see. I tell you what, I don't want to interrupt what I'm doing too much. So you tell you what, these questions are all good. Save them until later. I'll make the end of the third act of the stream more to do with the questions. So I'll read the comments and I'll try and keep up. But for now, I will, and I'll highlight some every now and again. But I'll have to sort of wait to answer them. Otherwise, I'll never get through the other stuff. But I'm definitely grateful. So where was I on my top? All right, so 95, which fell off, is a really underrated. Let's get the thing back on. New Angeles. New Angeles, really good negotiation game. It's still on my shelf over there. Fantasy Flight, best in the Netrunner universe. You basically take control of one of the corporations, and the cities go into pot in various different ways. Power outages, and security issues, and mobs, and disease, that kind of thing. And each of you has a method to try and repair the city in a sense, but you've all got your own agenda because you want to have the most influence or like power by the end of the game. And so you're negotiating over who should play these various cards that sort out bits in the city, but obviously benefit the person who's played the card because they get assets for winning the negotiations. So everybody's got their own personal agenda, but you have to win by beating your rival, and you don't know who each other's rival is, so it's hidden information. But one player in the game is also I think they're called a Federalist or something like that. It might be a different name, and they essentially are trying to get the city to tank. So it's a hidden traitor with some hidden information and negotiation. 3 hours, it's a long game, but it looks good and it's really good fun. That's a really solid game. It's just very hard to get this one to the table, which is why it has fallen off my top 100, but it's underrated. If you're a negotiation game fan, you don't mind something that's going to be quite meaty and long, by all means give this one a look, because this is one of the most thematic ones that there is. Really good, solid one. Okay, moving up to 94 very quickly. Yes, is that 94? 94. There we go. Euro game. Rajas of the Ganges. Rajas of the Ganges is still solid. Still solid game. Again, just hasn't been played in a while. Although there's only so much variety in the game, and I think that's what's hurting it. It's a good fun game. I love the place placement in it. I think it looks good. I like the artwork on it. It's, you know, a very cool win condition where you've got to get the two tracks to meet, and when they do, that's an auto win. There's lots of cool like combos you can pull off, and it's a looker, and the dice are really cool. It's just not got as much replay value because there's only so many ways you can actually sort of strategize in the game. But, you know, I think it's just been a while since it's got played. But I'd like to get it played at some stage. There's also some rumors that there's a certain market in here or a certain strategy that's a bit overpowered, and I'm slightly concerned as to whether that might be true or not. But I don't play games often enough to figure out their like overpoweredness, so I'm not too fussed about that. But we'll see on that. Very quickly, Kabuki, I do have Role Player Adventures. It is on the floor in the other room. I have unboxed it. I will play it. Lord knows when. If I get time tomorrow, maybe. But then I also want to play Mortem over there from Arcane Wonders. Their, what do you call it? Their new sort of detective medieval type game. I want to play that tomorrow as well. So much games, so little time. But that's Rajers. All right, and like I say, most of the games that fell off my list are in the 90s and 80s. That's kind of where I expect them to be, but don't worry, they'll jump soon. 93, another good game, Days of Wonder, is Yamatai. I still think Five Tribes is better than Yamatai, but Yamatai is still really cool. It's still a really cool game. It is one of the most beautiful games in existence. That cover is so gorgeous. The board is gorgeous. These tiles are gorgeous. Everything is gorgeous. It's just colourful. It's abstract as all get out, though. There is no theme whatsoever, but then nor does Five Tribes. But it's a little fiddly to sort of get the rules over as to how you place these boats around the islands. But it's a neat, fairly simple game. But, well, simple in rule set. Very thinky in terms of what you do. It can cause a bit of AP, but you're trying to get your coloured ships around these islands, collect the tokens so you can grab these guys. Actually, no, I think you use coins to grab these. But then you get the tokens to like get special things. You choose a turn order token, which gets you a bonus for the round, but affects when you go in order. So that's something to think about. So I could go 10th in order, but I get lots of ships, or I could go 5th. But then I only get one ship and something else. So it's a really cool system. You build some buildings, you get some characters with special abilities. And like I say, very beautiful, really cool. If you like Five Tribes, I recommend giving this one a go because it definitely is in that kind of same vein, even though it's not a Mancala mechanic, it's something different. But yeah, it's very simple rule set, very beautiful. It just didn't get as much buzz as Five Tribes. And as I say, I think Five Tribes is better. This one is kind of standalone, no expansion, and I very much doubt Days of Wonder is doing anything else with it. But it's also from, it's Bruno Kafala as well, and Mark Pequin, I can't pronounce that, but yeah, so, you know, Yamatai, designed by Bruno Kafala as well, so if you like Five Tribes, you should like Yamatai as well. Okay, 92, we go on to a Euro, which I have played recently, but just doesn't hit the table as often. It's probably high up in my hundreds, but Nations. Nations is still my preference to Through the Ages in terms of playing a physical game, But Through the Ages does have a fantastic app. It very just depends on whether I'm playing a physical game or an app. Therefore, I pick which one I like. But Nations, I wish its artwork and aesthetics were better. It really is pretty poor artwork, pretty piss poor artwork. But it's a cool Through the Ages style game of building up your civilization. I've got the expansion here. So this allows me to actually choose asymmetrical player boards like crazy. There's about 20 different factions I can pick. So do I want to play the Romans? Do I want to play America? Do I want to play China? Do I want to play the Zulus? Do I want to play the Vikings? Do I want to play England? There's so many factions with that expansion. It just opened up the variety in the game. And you play it much like Through the Ages, although it's quite cool that you have these buildings where you put your workers on them. So you've got the usual thing like, oh, I conquer a colony and I get a bonus. I start a war. I get an advisor. I get combat units. I get production units. I get one-off abilities, that kind of thing. But you can even build natural wonders. But the idea is that you put your workers on the cards to say how much of the resources you're getting, and workers cost money, they cost food to feed. It's a really cool system. I really enjoy Nations. It just hasn't met top 100 material. And it's definitely a lot better than the dice game. Wasn't a fan of that one. Next up, 91. This one just has not been played in a long time because the rule set is a little bit fiddly to get your grips with. Suburbia. Now, I have Collector's Edition now. I think I sold my other Suburbia Corrie. And, yes. But, yeah. Was it? Yeah, it's a cool game, Nations. I know I mentioned, so it is bad artwork. And, I didn't realize Rado liked it that much, but fair dues. Suburbia, great city building game. The Collector's Edition is gorgeous, but I need to really get to grips with the rule set again because I've forgotten how to play it for the most part. You've got to really get the setup done. The setup takes a while to do, which is a bit of a put off, but it looks gorgeous now. You've got all the different color boards. You can have a unique city now. I've got the expansions in it. It's a really solid city building game. You put these tiles down, where they're connected to has an effect on how much income they generate. Even what the opponents are building in their city can have an impact. I'm not sure why there's a cat there. But yeah, really good production with the new version. It's a big box. It's hard for me to bring out, but when it does come out, I do really enjoy it. But although I really do want to throw in the first expansion every single time. But yeah, it's just the setup's a bit fiddly. You've got to work out what tiles you're allowed and stuff. I think I just need to sit down with this game and give it a really good playthrough, or maybe play the app and learn it through there or something. I just need to get the rule set back in my head. But this won't drop much further. It's not top 100 right now. Okay. And we're still in the 90s. Right, 90 is... I played this twice recently, actually. It might even climb. Somebody did ask me, actually, do you reckon any games that fell off will climb back onto the top 100? This might do if I can play it a little bit more often, because the last two games I played of it was fantastic. XCOM, the board game. I still really like this co-op. We played it twice at the one I said that got flooded, Shake, Battle and Roll or whatever, the one that got flooded. The night before it flooded, we played XCOM. Four of us played 2 games of it, and great fun. I mean, it's a real-time... Well, it's half real-time, half turn order, but you basically are doing what you do in XCOM. You're defending the world from invading aliens. One of you plays a scientist, one of you plays a squad leader, one plays the commander who has to sort out the budget for how much stuff people can have. And it's just a great teamwork cooperative, very cool. The app is one of the first implementations that there was, and it's still really, really good. It puts you in that world, the sound effects, and all the imagery is straight off the video game. And I've played the video games now, I enjoy them all. Frustrating when your guy with 99% accuracy can't hit the broadside of a barn straight in front of him. But, aside from that, still love the games. And this one is a good fun. I mean, it's cooperative. You've got to work together. It's a relatively quick game, and I tend to be very good as the commander, because I'm pretty good with money, obviously, but I also am very good as the scientist. I know when to, get the right cards for certain people. I know when to bin cards for various effects, or just use them for one-off effects and then discard them. It's a, really solid one. This one could climb. I've even got the expansion for it, whatever it was called, the one that uses the Evolt, or Revolt. I forget what that faction was called. Exalt, I think it was, in the actual games. But yeah, I got the little expansion for this as well. 89. Right, after this, we're going to start actually skipping spaces, all right? Because I've already done like 10, 11 games here, so there's only a few more that fell off. But here we go. 89, this one, yeah, it's in danger of leaving the collection because I just don't find the time to play this one. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. You know, I do think this is a really good solo. I only play this solo. Solo deduction game. I think the amount of effort and thought that went into this is great. The deductions are really hard. It's a really tough one to do. And I do not play to try and beat Sherlock Holmes because he's an arrogant little git in this game. Because he's always like, well, you took this long to sort it out. Well, I managed to do it in three turns. I found it in 3 turns. It was clearly this. And it's like, yeah, you clairvoyant, arrogant git. You know, it's like, shut up. But yeah, this one is still a good, fun good fun game. I just never get the time to play it though, because it's going to take you a while. You even need some alcohol while you're playing it because it's going to take that long. But yeah, I haven't gone through all the cases. That's why I've not bought any of the expansion sets. Maybe I should give this one a look again. I don't know, but like I say, I've got Detective, which I enjoy. I've got Chronicles of Crime. I've got tons of scenarios in Chronicles of Crime, which is quicker and easier to get to the table. And now I've got Mortem over there. For those who don't know what Mortem is, let me quickly show you. Mortem is a medieval detective style game from Arcane Wonders. So I got this at Essen, and I'm looking forward to trying it. Probably going to play through this solo, I think, but yeah, looking forward to giving this one a try, hopefully tomorrow. Oh, somebody's actually using the super stickers. Well. Hello to OneGuard777. Thank you for your donation. Greatly appreciated. Hope you enjoyed the top 100 when it came out, and thank you for joining the stream. Thank you very much. Okay, where do we get to? Say, I don't know, One God, was there a particular game on the top 100 you really liked? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. So, skipping on to 87. This game just has not been played in a while, and it doesn't help that they've not released any expansions for it. Elysium, really solid game. It's a fairly unique one, actually. You basically have to build up a tableau of these like various cards, and the cards come in different colors. And you build a tableau below your player board as well as above it. And the ones below score and the ones above it get the abilities. But there's this really tense system. You see those cards there in where my mouse pointer is? You've got these 4 color pillars. And what you do is you take a card from either the center or a player, where's it go? This board I had a minute ago here. Take one of the starting player tiles. You've got to take one of those and 3 cards in a round. So you take one, but each card has colors on it. So you can see this blue and black marker here, and there's various other ones. And you can only take the card if you have the pillars of that color. So at the start, you can take anything. But then once you get a card or a tile, you have to discard one of your pillars out of your choice. So if I decide, right, I'll get rid of my green one, I no longer can take a card that has a green symbol on it. It's so tense whether people could take your card from you. Such turn angst. And the puzzle of trying to sort out, which pillar do I want to get rid of? I don't know. It's a mind bender. Gorgeous looking. I think it's Vincent Dutrait artwork, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, or maybe it's something different, but I think it actually might be a mixture of artists. But yeah, really cool system. I just haven't played it in a while. That's why it's fallen off the top 100, and we're crying out for this to be expanded, but Matthew Dunstan, I don't think, is doing much with this game anymore, so it's a bit of a shame, really. Hello to the nerd shelves. Hello. That's all right. There's a load of people that are late. There's a load of people that won't watch this until after the fact. That's not the problem. Oh, damn, this is delicious. Oi, oi, oi. What we got there? So, Sherlock character does come across as pompous. Similarly, Batman is somewhat unrelatable. Super rich, brilliant mind, world-class detective, peak of physical strength. Well, yeah, I mean, the Sherlock Holmes one is that he's just been an arrogant person about it, so it's kind of there. Although I like the idea that you played it over Zoom, Tammy. Yeah, I've heard of that. Playing games like Sherlock or Detective or deduction-based teamwork games over Zoom. Yeah, I've heard that was a thing, and that makes sense. Although, did only one of you have all the components? Because, I mean, if one of you's got all the components, that must have been a bit of a nightmare to sort out over Zoom. I'm interested in that one. Right, what have we got next? Not many left before we move on to the next section. Right, we're skipping all the way from 87 to 80. So this one was 80 last year. Just has not been played in a while, but it's an underrated game. I think it's just more to the fact that it's a little hard to teach because there's a lot of iconography that you got to teach. Old West Empresario. This one I'm hoping will climb back onto the top 100 once I get it played a bit more, but when you've got to teach people how all these different buildings work, it makes it a little bit hard to get to the table. But it's a solid follow-up to Pioneer Days, which is another game that actually did make my top 100. Where you're trying to build up the city, but the idea is that you draft these dice that are done at the start of a round. I'm trying to find an example. Here you go. So you roll the dice. They're on these boards. There's 2 in each column of city tiles. And when you take a die, you either take one of the city tiles to build it, or you activate your city and you activate the numbers. So you could build up a city that uses 5s. So every time you take a 5, you have a ton of abilities to trigger. But then all the other dice suck for you. Or you could take a bunch of buildings that activate through most dice. You won't necessarily get any very powerful combo turns, but every die should do something for you. It's a really cool little symbol. It's not a difficult game. It's a relatively simple game. One of TMG's underrated best, I think. It's just when you've got to explain, right, the saloon works like this, the tax office works like this, the TPs work like this, the distillery works like this. It gets a little bit fiddly with the scoring and that, but that's the only sort of knock on it. So yeah, like I say, definitely worth a look if you can find a copy of it anywhere, because obviously TMG doesn't in business anymore. Okay, another Stan Kordonsky game. All right, that's a good point actually. What else has Stan done? Has he appeared on my list a lot? Including Dice Hospital, Lockup, Role Player, Tale, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, and its expansion. I've not actually played Rurik. People have been telling me that I should. Oh, he's done Endless Winter. Okay, that's why. Alright, fair enough. Not a big fan of the Valeria games. Dice Hospital's okay. Lockup was okay. Don't know the others. So, yeah, I like Old West, and I'm hoping that Endless Winter will be really good as well. How many more finalists? Two more, and then we move on to the what missed the list. So let's go to next one, 77, Reef. Reef is still a really cool game. In fact, I need to turn that rating down because I think 9 is probably a little bit high for it now. Let's change that down to an 8. But yeah, Reef, it's right behind my back actually as we speak. This is my preferred one to Azul. I know not everybody's a fan of Reef, but I think Azul is only that good at 2-player. And I still like the base game. I hate all these spin-offs that they've been doing, milking the cash cow, where all of them are not as good as the base set. But Reef didn't need a lot of spin-offs. It didn't need a lot of expansions. It just gave me a really solid game on its first run. I'm not sure I like the new color scheme they've used for a few... Get away, fly. But the premise of this, where you're building this kind of 3D sculpture of all these different coral pieces and trying to you take a card, it gives you the pieces at the top, and then you score based on the bottom. So you're constantly like, do I want the card for the scoring, or do I want it for the pieces? And what pieces do I need now versus what am I saving up to score? Am I going to try and score a big high point card, or am I going to do lots of little ones? It's very quick, very simple, you know, even though it seems to flummox my parents a lot. If you're not very good at spatial awareness, you might struggle with it, but it's a really cool game. This is the version I've got, I think, the original version, which had like these color pieces. So bright yellow, bright red. I think they changed it for color blindness reasons. But yeah, I really enjoy Reef. Reef's a cool, simple game. I told my Dice Game Cafe to get it, and they have. And I just think, yeah, I have to admit, as CB is saying, Reef, Aquatica, Abyss, Underwater Cities. Because Aquatica is over there. Abyss, yes. Underwater Cities, yes. Yeah, I think I just like the underwater theme a lot. I never played Reef Encounter though. Is Reef Encounter any good? Is that good for an underwater theme? We'll see. And technically, my favourite dominant species is dominant species marine, actually, which is not technically underwater, but, well, some of it is, but is dealing with more fishies and that sort of creatures. So, maybe. Asmodee released the Sherlock map and directory on their website, so I was just a designated reader with my copy of the game while the others used the map and directory. Ah, okay. Fair enough. Good on you, Asmodee. Right, one more. This one was 65 and it's fallen off. Main reason, it's one of those... Well, it's not one shot, but there's only so many times I'm going to play through the whole thing again, and I won't play this on arcade mode, and that is Near and Far. Near and Far is still a really good game. I still have it right there, and at some point, I'm sure I'll play it again as a character campaign, as opposed to the 12-game campaign. This is the thing. Campaigns are just hard to get to the table. Tainted Grail. I want to get that to the table at some point soon. But Near and Far is still really good. It's one of Ryan Lockett's best. It's an upgrade to Above and Below. And, you know, you've got the book with the Atlas in it. You go and do quests, but then the Euro game behind it where you get your crew and kick them up with gear, get your little chickens or whatever they are, the chicken bird things to ride as mounts, and go off and do little story quests is a really cool game. It's just nice and simple, nice and pleasant, and looks gorgeous. It's, you know, Ryan Lockett's style of artwork. It's a, you know, really solid. It's just one of those things that I'm not going to play as a standalone like arcade game every now and again. I need to play this as a free game campaign or a 12 game campaign. And yeah, that's the thing. It's finding the time to do that, which is why it dropped off. But there was a time when I was playing this quite a bit with a certain group of friends, and they would like me to bring it out again at some point, although they're kind of asking me if we can play Sleeping Gods at some point. But again, we can't meet up enough to play campaigns, so that's kind of the problem. But we'll see. Yeah, the paragraph thing is definitely improved from Above and Below. Above and Below, this absolutely killed Above and Below. There's no reason to play that one if you have Near and Far, because even in standalone version, this beats Above and Below. It just improved the story aspect a lot better, but mainly this made the Euro game part better, especially with the expansion added. But this whole bit of building up your player board and getting stuff in the city was done a lot better in this than it was in Above and Below. Right, take a drink. Keep the throat going. Right. So cool, blimey, we're already 45 minutes in. All right, well, we're done with ones that fell off the list. So now, let's go on to ones that just missed it. And I'm not going to spend too long. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, otherwise we will be all night. So I basically, what I do is that I kind of rank every game. I took every game that I ranked an 8 or above and made that my selection process. I think there was a few others that I ranked 8 that didn't meet it or whatever, but like I say, I choose ones that I have a feeling could make the top 100 rather than go through my entire collection, because obviously no game that is ranked 7 or below is ever going to hit my top 100, because I like way too many more games than the stuff I rank 7. But I basically, I mean, what did I have in 1 year? I had 153 in 17, 163 in 18, 183 in 19, and then this year I was a bit more conservative and only did 128. But I'm not going to go through every single game that just missed the list. I'm just going to go up the list and I will go into detail on some of the games, but not all of them. Especially as some of these are just going to repeat. So, first up, 128. Actually, maybe this would be better if I share this one. Actually, let me try and share this screen. 1 second while I do that. So, okay. Right, so hopefully this is working. Can I zoom? Oop, nope, I don't want to zoom in on that screen. I want to zoom in on this screen. There we go, there we go. Right, there we go. So hopefully people can read this, and I'll see if I can bring it up on Board Game Geek at some point. Maybe I should, actually here's an idea. Let me stop sharing the screen. Share screen. Share window. There we go. Share the window. That way, I can flip between this and Board Game Geek. Here we go. So I can. There we go. That's a lot better. All right, cool. So 128 Stockpile. This is one of the exceptions to the rule where Shares actually is a fun game for me, but this one doesn't really feel that much like Shares. It's more just a case of like betting on the market. So it's a really simple game, really cool, really light, underrated, but you essentially are doing insider trading. So you've got the different shares and they've got different prices, and each of you knows some hidden information about how that price is going to react at the end of the round. But you're basically bidding on these columns of cards, which have some cards you want, some cards you don't, some nasty stuff, and you essentially are trying to make as much money as you can by the end of the game by using insider trading knowledge. It's a cool little game, and the expansions maybe overcomplicate it a little bit, but there's some fun stuff in there. But yeah, it's just, I don't get it played that often, but it is a cool one, and it does 5 players quite well, actually. So this one, like I say, just hasn't been played. 128 is, I mean, like I say, these games that fell off the list are not bad games anymore, alright? I still love these games. It's just there's only 100 games on the list, so you can only do it. But yeah, it's not the best looker, but it's a good, solid little game. Moving back on, what have we got? Awkward Guess. Yes, Awkward Guess. Where's Awkward Guess? Where is awkward guess? Oh, it's down there. Just trying to tell that one. Oy. Get point salad out of the way. So, yep, the sepia tone. Here we go. Let's get back onto solo mode so you can see it. There you go. So, awkward guess, Cluedo done right, deduction game. You've got to do the murder, murder weapon, murder locate. Well, you know the murder in a study, but you've got to find out the motive, the person, and the weapon. But you do it by trading cards with clues on them to other players to try and find out information while not giving them too much information. It's a cool game. The whole, what do you call it? Scandalo or whatever that I previewed is basically a carbon copy of that. So I don't even know why you would get both. You really don't need both. But yeah, it's it's a solid deduction game. It certainly does benefit from using the app, though, as Julian says. Reef, I already mentioned. So Reef was 126. 125, Celestia, the easy little light game where you're trying to get people to jump out of the airship by them sort of going, right, roll dice, see which cards you can play. It's a implementation of Cloud9, and yeah, it's a really cool little filler. I play it a lot in my Dice Portsmouth when I've got 5 or 6 players. Really cool. 124 Flamme Rouge, the cycling game. That one's a really good, solid like racing game. Just haven't played it in a while. It's a little bit harder to teach than, say, Downforce and that. 123, this is an underrated game. Let's bring this one up on the list. Let's bring this one up in particular. Automania. Automania is on the shelf over there. It really does not get enough buzz. Yes, granted, the artwork is a little bit on the cartoony side, not fantastic, but this is a good, solid, light game. I mean, it's very thematic for what it is. You don't get these poker chips in there, but you're essentially drafting off these tiles of this middle board, like by way of cross-section, and you're building up cars to sell to the American or the European market, and these player boards that you have, can I see some example of the player boards, please? Come on, you think these people taking photos don't know? There we go. So you get these tiles, and it gives you things like safety feature, better driving, star power, like eco-friendly. You can get some employees that give you some extra star power and that. You've got 3 different types of cars. You might be able to put like bumper stickers and things like that on them. But the idea is that by getting these cars built up, you're trying to improve their star rating so that you can sell them to the markets at more cash. But the demand that the cars have is different every round. So as you can see here, in this particular market, they're really concerned about eco-friendliness and safety. Not so much about driving, they couldn't give monkeys about luggage space. But this one will come off the board at the end of the round. These will slide down. A certain player will get to choose which one of these 2 comes on. In this case, it makes no difference, but in here, it's more of a difference. And so later on, you might think, well, hang on, I can't really sell much this round, but I'm going to make a really good luggage space car, and eventually that's going to be really popular, so I'll plan ahead. But then there's the American market, which will have differing demands. It's a fairly simple game, lightweight, easy to teach, but still gives you some meaningful choices. And yeah, Tom Vassell did like it. I mean, that was a seal of excellence on there. I think he gives it at least a 9. I give it an 8. I don't love it quite as much as he does, but I still think that this is an underrated light game. And I think just maybe because it looks a little bit on the basic side in terms of its aesthetics, and its aesthetics aren't great, and maybe it's just too light for people. I mean, it's not super light. There's still a fair amount going on in this that you need to consider, but yeah, it's not like heavy Euro 3-hour nonsense and that. But yeah, it's a solid, underrated one. I think it got a bit of unfair dues. I mean, I'd love to see this reprinted with a really snazzy look, like really beef up the aesthetics. I reckon this one could be good. And yeah, you're actually making cars. I mean, in Kanban, you make some cars. In a Splotter game, for example, you probably make 1 car by the end of the game if you're lucky. But here, you're making a car every round. Every time you take a tile, you have to then make a car. And so you make your car, well, if you can afford the money. But yeah, you just run the car through and you make it. So I can make a ton of little minis, little Ferraris, and you really do feel like you're running a bit of a factory. But yeah, artwork is a little bit, as Brian says, not the best. Not the best. Moving on. 122, Cockroach Poker Royal. So the little small like filler game where you're bluffing to each other and putting cards saying this is a rat, this is a spider or whatever, and they're trying to think, are you lying to me? Are you telling the truth or should I pass it on? One of my favorite fillers. It's so much fun, so hilarious, but not quite top 100 material. It does have to work with certain people. But yeah, it's a really cool, fun game. 121 Spectre Ops, the hidden movement game, a bit like Scotland Yard and Letters of Whitechapel. This is kind of like the Metal Gear Solid version theme. And it's just a really cool hidden movement game. One agent against various other people hunting them down. Keep your hidden movement. Everyone's trying to figure out where the agent is and stop them. I like hidden movement games, and this is my favourite of the lot. Although I have backed, late backer, to Sniper Elite. Because I saw the playthrough of that and I thought, oh, a quicker hidden movement game? Could be good. And downstairs I've also got Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space, which does not make my 128. It's a rank 7 game, but yeah, I still really like this. Carlos has mentioned Fury of Dracula. I like Fury of Dracula, but 3-hour playing game with a lot of rules, it's just too involved. It's too long. As much as the theme in that is great, it's just too much. 120, The Court of Miracles. So yeah, Court of Miracles from Lucky Duck Games. This is definitely an underrated one. Check out my video if you want to find out more about this underrated game. But this one, 9. Maybe that needs to come down to an. I did rank it a 9. I rank it a 9 because overall the game actually I think deserves something as high as that. But yeah, there are games I enjoy playing personally more. But this one, Court of Miracles, is just a really cool, very light game. You've got to get your little buildings out, and you've got these markers with hidden power levels, and you're trying to control these neighborhoods. So the spaces give you a bonus. You've got a timer track that goes through, which also triggers the scoring in various cities as it passes. And you're basically beggar guilds. So you put your tokens down, and when all of them are filled, you flip them over, see who's won it. That gets you a special power that you can use. You get to use a location when you go there, but if somebody already owns a neighborhood, they get a bonus. So there's a lot of back and forth with all the players as everyone's trying to like outmaneuver each other to eventually get the win. It's just super simple. I mean, the rule set for this is dirt simple, like 4 pages worth of rules, if that. Looks pretty cool. Basic sort of aesthetics now, but I mean, the artwork's pretty decent on the board, and these tokens are pretty cool. But yeah, it's a simple, underrated little bluffy game. Well, slight bluffing, but yeah, you've got some hidden information from other players. I just found this one to be quite a surprise, actually. I wasn't expecting to like it quite as much as I did. Lovely cider. Right. Have I tried Hunt for the Ring yet? No. Is that a two-player Lord of the Rings game? Or I don't think I have played that one. I've heard of it, but just really haven't. I don't think I've ever seen a copy of that. All right. 119 was Die of the Dead. This was a very simplistic dice game, which I give. Maybe this probably will fall a bit in time. Maybe this is more rank 7, actually. I'll keep it at 8 for now. But it's a cool dice game. You know, not going to tax your brain or anything. It's definitely got a lot of luck in it because it is a dice game, funny enough. You know, dice equal luck. You know, come on, think. But think, McFly, think. But with this one, you've got these coffins. Each one has a power that you use as your action. You put the dice in the first one, and then they get hidden as they shuffle along this row of coffins, and you're trying to get them on this staircase thing, because it's all based around the whole Day of the Dead thing. Think the movie Coco, all right, if you ever watched that. Really good Pixar movie, actually. You definitely want to watch it. But basically, it's a bit of like hidden information. You're trying to remember where a little bit of memory, like where are my dice again? Whose dice are in what? Shake a certain coffin, you get to put your dice in. Shake one, you get to put them up here. Shake this one, you get to take out other people's dice. You got these tokens that can do various things. It's just a cool little dice game. Very simple. Probably best played with a max of 3 or 4 players. 5 is a bit much, but yeah, it's gorgeous production. I mean, this guy who's in the UK, Radical 8 Games, I think, did such a good job making these coffins and the cover and everything just look so good with the theme that it was going for. And it's a unique game. I mean, I've not seen this kind of dice game done with like the hidden movement, like the hidden coffins and stuff. It's just light, get into it, bit of light fluffiness. I know a friend of mine who absolutely detests this game because he hates anything to do involving luck. But yeah, it's a cool, nice one. All right, moving back onto this, we have Deus. Deus, cool Euro game where you're building up columns of cards to trigger bonuses with a map of area control. Just doesn't hit the table as much, so that one has been dropping a bit, but I still think it's a cool game. I've even got the expansion to it. It's pretty sweet. Alien Frontiers, yes, that was mentioned. Alien Frontiers is still one of my favorite like dice placement games. You know, I think it's not had as much credit as it should do because it's an older game, but this is one of the first like major Kickstarters that was successful, and it's a really cool. Yeah, I mean, the aesthetics are pretty good. I mean, yeah, these like little ships on the score pad are rubbish, but look at this board. The board is a good artwork. You've got these like good chunky dice. You've got decent artwork. These little bubble like dome things for your like cities that you put on the colony planet. It's a really good, well-produced game. The expansion adds asymmetrical player boards where you can land on them to get special abilities, but then your opponents can also land on them if they give you some money. It really opens up the game if you get the expansion. Definitely worth it. But yeah, this one gives you that cool retro sci-fi look, and you know, I think was better than, I mean, I think it's better than, was it Kingsburg? And I would rather play this to something like Marco Polo and that any day. Yeah, here you go. Here's some of the faction boards. So, yeah, really cool game. It's just, I think, as games get older, people think it's cool to rag on them, I suppose. Going back. Onitama. Yes, Onitama. I mean, I had this, like, in my top 20 at one point. It just doesn't get played enough because it's a two-player game. That's why it has dropped in my rankings a bit. I did rank it a 10 at one point because I was just playing it, like, constantly. I haven't ranked Where the Wind. Where the Wind is a pretty good expansion. I give that an 8. But I have, in the other room, Light and Shadow. So, a Light and Shadow expansion. I have that, and I hope to get that played and done. And I'll probably do a Beyond the Base Game video to go over all the Onitama expansions at some point. That's what I'm hoping to do. But Onitama, really good. Like, this is, I'm so jealous I didn't come up with this idea because I used to love chess. So something like this I should have thought of and then decided, oh, this will be a cool game. But nope, someone beat me to it. But it's a cool little mini chess game where you're trying to capture your opponent's master or get your master in their chair. But the players only move by way of these cards, 5 of them in each game that are based on the sort of different fighting styles. But like I say, theme shmeem, it's an abstract game. And it's just a really cool, I don't know what these two things are, but it's a really cool system where you use a card, it goes in the middle, and then your opponent makes a move and swaps it with the card that's in the middle. So when you use a movement card, your opponent's going to get it eventually. Such a simple rule set, looks great. Oh man, why didn't I think of this? Does the expansion just add more cards, or is there a change to the mechanics? Very briefly, the first expansion added what was it? Expansions, here we go. So we've got a few promos there. Sensei's Path is just more cards, but more variety is good. Definitely worth getting Sensei's Path. Way of the Wind, I haven't played with it much, but it basically involves this wind spirit that goes around the map and, you know, does stuff. I forget exactly what it does, but this one adds more of a mechanic. I think Sensei's Path's the only one that adds a lot of cards. This one might add a couple of cards based on the spirit, but that's about it. You really want Sensei's Path as your first one. Light and Shadow, though, I've not had a chance to play it, but from what Robert Geisinger was explaining when I saw him at Essen, this sounds cool. You basically have a ninja board. So I'll get onto this bit in a minute, but basically each of you can have a ninja board, and based on where the ninja is behind a hidden screen, it can capture other students off the board. That is such a cool concept and fits with this so well. I hope it works. But here's the bit that really gets me excited. Look at this next picture. You can play an asymmetric game of Onitama where one person plays the normal game of Onitama and the other player controls the 2 ninjas behind the hidden screen. That sounds amazing. I hope this ninja mechanic works, because if it does, this asymmetrical style of play sounds fantastic. So I can decide whether I want to play as the normal like student and masters, or want to play as the 2 ninjas. That just is such a cool idea. Please let it be good. Please let it be good. I just got to get it to the table. It's a 2-player game. I need somebody to come around my house. But yeah, looks pretty cool. Anyway, let's move on to Airlines Europe. Airlines Europe, cool game, sort of Ticket to Ride meets set collection with the shares. You build the airplane routes on the board. You collect shares to make the airplane route, the airplane company more lucrative. It's very simple. It's not like 18xx or anything like nonsense like that. It's just basically set collection at the end of the day. But building the airplanes on the map, Ticket to Ride style, to connect routes will make the airplane company worth more. It's a very simplistic version of that type of game, and I don't normally like these types of games, but I think the simplicity of it kind of wins me over, and it does 5 players very well. I think that helps. I've already mentioned XCOM, the board game. Already mentioned Nations. Where we got Walking in Burano. Walking in Burano doesn't. I've not played Pan Am. I'm not sure if I would like Pan Am. Oh, Walking in Burano, that does not get enough love. This one, though, I probably owed royalties by Emperor S4 because every time I've taught this to people, they've then gone out and bought it. But Walking in Burano is this Emperor S4 game, really light. You're building up these coloured houses in the street, and with the... Oh, come on, show me a picture, show me a picture. Oh, look at the kitty, little kitty. Oh, little kitty first player marker. Love kitties. Come on, zoom out. This will... Come on. Honestly. Right. This will have to do. But basically, you're building up the street, and there's a bunch of columns of the cards. So there's got to be a better picture than this. Come on. How hard can it be to... Well, this is what you're ending up with. Basically, a completed street with these. And there's these cards that you collect, and you have to draft them from the middle display in a certain way. You need money in order to, like, build different cards. But what you're doing is, as you complete each house, you get an inhabitant or tourist from below, from a stash, and you put them below the house, and they score based on different criteria. And it's all about the symbology on the buildings. So this guy here, for example, gives you a point for every green plant in this particular building. So as you can see, this one's got green plant, 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 plant. There's like loads of green plants. So that's a really good building to score. But then you've got ones like this police officer here who gives you points based on the lampposts in the street spaced out. So here you go, lamppost, lamppost, or lamp or whatever. So it gets you the maximum points. So some score based on the whole street, a particular row, some score based on the building. And it's just a really cool, simple game, nice and pleasant. Certainly does have a bit of turn angst for like, oh, don't take my card or whatever. You got to pay attention to what the others are building. But yeah, it's just a very charming, simple game for something that's in a small box. Yeah, Hanama Koji, they owe me royalties for that one. God blimey, I've sold them a lot of copies for that one. And yeah, Tom Vassell reviewed it earlier today. I've actually watched that video. I'm surprised he's never actually reviewed it. I know Z has, although he only gave it a seal of endorsement. Tom. It's easily a seal of distinction. Thank you. But yeah, it is growing on him. And hopefully it will grow some more. I wonder if he's ever going to try Geisha's Road, though. It'd be interesting. Alright, so let's see. Tokaido, the Zen game of the year. I mean, I still really like Tokaido. Preferably with the expansion. And it's just a good Zen game. Just lovely, relaxing. Walk the path of Japan or whatever it is. And yeah, just... collect sushi, get souvenirs, take a hot bath in the springs every now and again. It's just lovely, gorgeous, and light. Sushi Go Party. If you don't know Sushi Go by now, then what's up? But yeah, Sushi Go, the quintessential gateway level drafting game. Vinyos Deluxe Edition. So it was on my top 100 a couple of years back. It's not quite top 100 material, but I still enjoy this one from the Surder. Obviously, Viticulture was a lot higher for me. Yamatai. I don't know why the Pub Meeple ranking system spits out Yamatai, all these weird names. It gets the notation a bit weird sometimes. Downforce, Near and Far, I've already mentioned. Dream Home, that one might drop a bit. I don't know why it got quite as high as that. I think that should have been more down the 120s. But yeah, Dream Home is an underrated game. I mean, it's it's a light, pleasant game with just a fun theme that you can just laugh at, really. But basically, you are doing exactly what the game says. You are building a dream home. It's a very nice artwork. Essentially, oh, come on. Look, I don't need language of the covers, but yeah, there you go. So your house has got these cards in it that you're trying to, you're building up the house with these cards. And you have to build from the basement or the first floor up. You can't build above the basement before you've built it. You can't build on the second floor before you've built the first floor, physics. And it's, just a really nice Zen game where you're drafting off these columns of cards to try and build your house in such a way that you get points for bigger rooms, get decor tokens. And I just get into the theme. I just like the idea that I'm just building my house. I'm trash talking other people's houses for being useless or not having any bathrooms. I'm got my game room. I've got my wine cellar. I'm trying to build my little house. With the expansion, you get friends and family that can come round. You've got these different cards. You've got this weird mechanic for building a roof. That's probably a weak link of the game, but other than that, the game is just light and pleasant. Although taking off those columns is not exactly light and pleasant, because you're constantly shouting at everybody for taking cards that you wanted, particularly when you got 5 or 6 of you. It gets a little bit insane with the expansion. But yeah, it's not for everybody. I've played this with people and they've liked it. I've played it with people who really hated on it or something. They thought it was too lucky. But I don't get why people complain a game is too lucky when it's a light game. Now, granted, if it's stupidly lucky, like Monopoly Card Deal or whatever, then yes, it deserves to be called out. But this one, you can manipulate the turn order. You can decide what cards you get. You can get cards with special abilities. You can plan a little bit ahead. Yes, there's a bit of luck involved. But then there's also the decisions of what the other players are doing. And if you don't like going last, get the marker. That gives you a, gets you a thing. That gets you the first player. It's just nice and pleasant. I just like a little charming game that's a bit of a laugh. I'm not trying to care whether I win it or not. It's just, can I make my dream home? That's all it is. Just make my dream home and have jokes about it. It's nice, light and fluffy. The Isle of Cats. People are probably going to hate me for not putting this on my top 100, although it's 104. Give me a break. But yeah, I like Isle of Cats. It's a bit of a setup nightmare with all those cards. That is a bit of a pain. But gorgeous looking game. I like the polyomino stuff, and I like kitties. Look at all the kitties. I want a boat full of kitties. All these cats. Look at that one. It's so adorable. I want all these cats. But yeah, you basically put them on your ship. You try to keep the family groups together. You try to get little treasure cards. You draft these like various cards in order to play like lesson cards for points. It's just a really good, charming polyomino game. And like I say, it nearly met the top 100. It nearly did. And where are we going after that? We have 3 more. We have, here we go, Sleeping Gods. This will probably drop because I'm probably only going to get 1 more campaign play out of it and then I'm kind of done with it. And that's assuming I even find time to do it. Conspiracy Abyss Universe, this underrated little filler from Bombix. I have been ragging about this one, saying it's a really good game. I've still got it as a 9 because I do think it's worthy of a 9. It just, I don't know why. I think it should have been a little higher, actually. I think this probably should have made the top 100. I could see this returning. But beautiful game using that Abyss artwork. Very simple. You're basically building an upside-down pyramid with those Lord cards. Keys get your locations. You're trying to score points. You're trying to keep colors together in a group because that gets you more points. But then there's points for the Lord themselves. And it's a very much based on the Abyss mechanic of the more choice you give yourself, the more you give opponents. So you essentially, like, you draft these cards from the top of the deck and you can decide whether to look at 2, 3, or 4. And if you look at more, you get more choice. But then the ones you don't pick go out into the middle and players could take them in a big stack if there's like loads of a single color. So again, the more choice you have, the more options you give the opponent. Really cool game. Suffers a bit when you get to higher player counts up to 4, but 3 is fine. This makes a fantastic quick 2-player game though. I mean, if you are 2 players, this would definitely be like a top 10 casual 2-player game. Well, actually, casual? Is it casual? I don't know. You've got card abilities. I think this might be a next step game rather than a casual game. If we're going through casual, next step, and advanced, this would probably be next step. But it's still really nice light game, beautiful artwork, really nice little tin, although it doesn't fit sleeve cards as well as I would like. But yeah, this is underrated. It's a cool little filler. 15 to 30 minutes, depending on player count. Just really nice. Underrated. Needs more love. And then finally, Suburbia Collector's Edition. And yes, the one that, hang on, that's not entirely correct. I don't know why that is there. Maybe all of these should have been shifted down, actually, and this is like 129 to 101. I've got a feeling that's it, because Lords of Waterdeep was not on my top 100. That's the one that just missed. So I think this should be 129 and going upwards. But whatever, this is the list I didn't pay much attention to. But yeah, Lords of Waterdeep, the classic D&D worker placement game. I still really like it, with the expansion, of course. But yeah, really good. So yeah. Sorry. Throat was getting a bit dry there. Whew. So yeah, I think I actually did do a Zen list a while ago. Yeah, I did. A couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I did a top 10 Zen games list. Pre-recorded. Have a search on my channel. Look up Zen games, top 10 Zen or something, and you should find it. It's an old one, so different format. More amateurish than my current videos and stuff. But yeah, I have done one list like that. Okay, what have we got there? So, right. So, yeah, the ones that fell off and the ones that just missed. I will go on to questions in just a second. The last thing I want to do is I want to show off a few stats, actually. So why don't we go to the list itself. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. All right, let's go on to the list itself. So yes, I will show off a bit of the spreadsheet. So, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the top 100 yet, but I'll try not to, just look away now. It's a bit late now, I guess, but whatever. You got to watch the videos to see what I talk about the games. But yeah, this is my spreadsheet where I basically show off, like, games. Have they returned to the list? Have they fallen off? Which ones have, like, new games, like Cryptid, for example? Their rankings, designer, publisher, what they were last year, how far they've gone up. This is basically my spreadsheet. So, I've come up with this, and this is how I worked out who fell off the list, so I could see this. But what I also do, for giggles, is I look at publisher and designer, just as a random curiosity to say, okay, which publishers do I tend to favor? And it's not the fairest comparison because some publishers have just made far more games than each other, but it's still worth a look. So yes, clearly, a lot of the LCGs, New Angeles, Outer Rim, Star Wars Rebellion, Citadels, Civ, Lord of the Rings, Mission Red Planet, stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of Final Fantasy games that I have on my top 100. They've made a lot of games, and their stuff just sings to me. They picked the right IPs for my liking. Sorry, yeah. Vocal cords. All right. But yeah, 13 there. Portal is 6 games on my top 100. Now, I reckon this is going to drop as time goes on, because there's a couple there, like First Martians. I mean, First Martians was there at 99. They could fall off at this rate. But yeah, I reckon there's still going to be at least 4 of them that will stick around for a while. So they're still high up. But yeah, Portal does a lot of thematic games that I like. Robinson Crusoe, Empires in the North, Detective. There's lots of stuff from them that I really enjoy. Now, granted, there are games of them that I don't like. I mean, I didn't like Dune House Secrets, and there's been 1 or 2 in the past that I've not liked from them. And I have to admit, as much as I enjoy First Martians, it had a really bad launch. But, it's a solid format. And let me zoom in a bit so you can actually read this a bit better. Sorry, everyone. There we go. Is that better for you? Right, so Libellude. What was this? No Feld on my top 100. Well, of course, no Feld. Yeah, there's no Stefan Feld on my list. Although Cocapelli is a good game, but that doesn't even feel like a Feld. So that's kind of weird. But here we go. So Libellude. So Dune House, well, that's the thing. The price point is not the only thing that was bad about it. I mean, the story is fine in Dune House Secrets, but for the price you pay for the game, it's over in about 2 to 3 hours as a solo player. There's barely any components in it, and like I say, it just felt like a letdown at the end of the game. So I definitely only gave it average. And no Martin Wallace. No Martin Wallace, because honestly, I love the guy. He's such a charming guy. But I just don't like his games. I don't like Brass. I don't like, I forget what half of his stuff are. But like I say, he tends to do very dry games that I'm not a fan of. Tinner's Trail, I didn't like that one. I had no interest in doing Outlands, or was it Wildlands or whatever? That just doesn't sound fun at all. So no, Martin Wallace just doesn't make games that I like. We'll get on to How Many Rosenbergs, because once I'm done with publishers, we're going to go on designers. Libellude, though. Dixit, Mysterium, and Obscurio and all that lot. I love Libellude stuff when it comes to these Dixit cards, and the microphone is trying to be a pain here. Let's see if I can tighten this up a bit so it stops moving around. It's kind of weird, but here we go. Let's tighten this up a bit. But yeah, so Libellude, gorgeous games. I love them. Really good fun. Eagle Griffin, they're on the shelf behind me. Stonemaier, yep. A few of those. Mind Clash, even though there's only 3 there, Mind Clash deserve credit because they've only done 3 major games, if you don't count Perseverance, which hasn't fulfilled yet, and Voidfall. But the 3 games that they've released, Dracarion, Cerebria, and Anachrony, I love all 3 of them. So they are effectively free for free with everything they've produced. So yes, there's only 3 of their games on this list, but I love every single one of their games. So, Garphill Games, yeah, I love it. Half of their stuff is okay, but the ones that I love from Garphill Games, I love, and I'm looking forward to the new stuff. Check Game Editions, yeah, some new ones that they were lower on previous years, but they've gone up now. And then after here, it's like, I have a bit of a wide spread. So Check Games, AEG, Z-Man, Repost Production, Osprey, Lucky Duck, Lookout, Greater Than Games. Graded in games. Whoa, what the pivot table? Graded in games. It may be only 2, but what a 2. Days of Wonder, Bombix, Bezier, Awakened Realms. Who on earth do I have from White Wizard? Oh, wait, is that Star Realms? No, that's probably Star Realms. Van Ryder Upper Deck, and then it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And just because there's only 1 doesn't mean I hate the publisher. It's just their games just haven't necessarily made my top 100. But yeah, there's a lot of publishers here. I've got a widespread, list of publishers there. So yeah, quite a few there. Grand total 100. Not sure why that's... Oh yeah, 100 games. Doi. Idiot. But yeah, very quickly, let's see. Christoph, very quickly, I will back Weather Machine if I like my play of it, which I'm going to have at GridCon later this month. So, we'll see what that is. All right, let's... I got stupid pivot table editor. Google Drive spreadsheets is a little bit of a pain, so hang on. Let's try and find... Here we go. So there's designer. No, it's because it's a little bit... Hang on, let's zoom out a little bit. There you go. Hopefully you can still read it. There we go. So... count of designer. So Ignacy Trevicek has got the most games on my list because frankly all my Portal games that I like are the ones that he's designed. So other people have co-designed with him, but I can only put one designer on the list, so I have to highlight the single designer, but credit to everybody who designs the games I like. But yeah, Ignacy has done a lot of games I love. The First Martians, Robinson Crusoe, Empires of the North, Predator, Imperial Settlers, Detective. They're Ignacy, like I say. Board games that tell stories. He knows what he's talking about. And I do look forward to future stuff. Like I say, Dune House Secrets wasn't it, but, you can't hit perfection every time. Hello, Hexy Beast. Thanks for joining us. Vital Lacerda, 4 games, 4 titles. Works for me. Bruno Kafala and Antoine Bozer. Now, granted, as I say, that's probably... This designer table is a little bit misleading because, like I say, I can only put one designer's name in the list. I can't put every designer. So, for example, Seven Wonders Duel has Bruno Kafala and Antoine Bozer, but I had to basically pick one of them to put in the list. So these kind of interchange, they probably overlap, but this is just a rough idea of the designers that I get my behind. So Bruno Kafala, Antoine Bozer, 3 Uwe Rosenberg games. So Fields of Isle, Feast of Odin, and Caverna. So they're my favorite Uwe Rosenberg ones. I like other stuff. I mean, I've got Patchwork on there for teaching gateway gamers and some of those like Polyomino stuff. But yeah, generally the farming stuff is what I like. Although I've yet to try At the Gates of Loyang. I don't know if I would like that. I have not tried Oral the Borer. And I'm not the biggest fan of Agricola because it's too restrictive, even though I like the theme. But I also have Glass Road on the review pile because I asked for it because I wanted to give it another chance. Wasn't a big fan of it when I played it before because I thought it was too chaotic at 4 players with those rotten cards. But I want to try it again and see if my tastes have changed. Not to mention if I would like it more as a solo game. Shem Phillips, Nate French, Corey Kinesga, Vladimir Suchi, and that's mainly from Pulsar and Underwater Cities. Not a fan of Vladimir's older stuff, but his newer stuff's really starting to sing to me. Even Messina, actually. We've played Messina. It's going to be the next detail review I do will be Messina, 1590, Who Gives a Monkeys. But it basically ends up with, like, his stuff, newer stuff is kind of good for me. Why not include all names? It'll inflate the total beyond 100 but give a more accurate representation. Because have you tried to do a pivot table where you use all the multiple names and that? This was literally just a rough thing I did, when I made the list. I don't pay too much attention to it, but I did not have the Excel technical skills to create a pivot table using all the names somehow. It would just be too much faff for something that I was only curious about. Scott Caputo, Luke Laurie, they've been doing good for me. Alexander Nevsky, pronounced that, but basically Mysterium and Detective Club. Arman, which ones they done? I've forgotten. Nicky Valens, Jamie Stonemar, John DeClaire, Virginio Gigli, Vangelis Badgiatakis, I think that's how you pronounce it, of a Pursuit of Happiness fame, so like I say, there's the thing. Is Eric Lang on my list? No, he is not. No, I am actually not the biggest fan of Eric Lang games. Or actually, tell a lie, XCOM. So XCOM's the one, but Blood Rage is a bit overrated. Actually, Rising Sun. No, Eric Lang should be on my list somewhere. There he is. Oh yeah, 1 game. Go away, pivot table editor. Yeah, Rising Sun. That's on there. So there's my one Eric Lang game. But Chaos on the Old World I do really like. It's just not top 100 material. Blood Rage is overrated. Dice Masters, was that Eric Lang? It's alright, but Dice Masters is just... The problem is, I'd like to play Dice Masters casually, but I hated when I tried to play it competitively. Everybody using the exact same dice, no thematic reasoning for having them, it's just power creep. I hate the competitive world for Dice Masters. And it's full of some sketchy people I've met while doing that circuit. But yeah, most of Eric Lang's... I mean, I have no interest in Unk, especially with that god-awful merge rule. I mean, I've seen it in action, and I just think, what stupid rule is that? But yeah, I'd say it's just not my stuff. Corey, Star Wars Rebellion, yes, I've got. Forbidden Stars, I have. Not getting rid of that. It's too what's the word? Expensive. But I think that's mainly it for Corey Kineska. Actually, no, didn't Corey Kineska also do Eldritch Horror and a couple of those? So I probably still have them. That's probably a deal. But yeah, like I say, the designer table is just a curiosity. It's more interesting to look at the publisher one, because the publisher one is a bit more accurate. But yeah, well, actually, no, I'm not scrolling up. I don't want to spoil too much of the top 100. So yeah, the top 100. Whew, takes a lot out of me. But anyway, we're not done yet. I don't think I'm going to be doing this stream for much longer. But now, live chat. So, live chat, all those questions that you had saved up from before, now's the time to get them going. You know, it's time to pay some attention to you lot, particularly while I get a drink. Particularly vocal cords. Take a bit of that. Take a swig of this. I'll probably have the rest of this with some... will I play Mortem later on? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe later on I might make it a movie night. So I need to watch 3 more episodes of Cowboy Bebop, the anime, because I've been trying to watch it in time for the Netflix live series to see what it's like. Cowboy Bebop's... it's good, but I don't think it's amazing. But also, I'm tempted to watch Disney's Emperor's New Groove, because it's one of the old Disney classics I've still not watched. Like, I want to try and tick off all the list. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, let's see if anybody's there. So... I'll scroll back and see if there's any questions I met while we're catching up there. So, most people are chatting amongst themselves for these questions, but I know there was a few around. Let's see, I would love to see a top 5 answering the question, if you were starting a collection from scratch and could have all the games from just one designer, who would it be, balancing quantity with quality? Interesting. I mean, from scratch, so if we're going to assume that you're not a heavy gamer, so you're relatively new to games, you may have played some light ones, but you're not looking for like massive, like Vital Lacerda games. So quantity with quality, I would probably say Bruno Cathala would be a very good bet. Bruno Cathala has made so many games. He's done thinky stuff like Five Tribes and Yamatai, but then he's also done the really nice simple stuff as well. He's also co-designed Seven Wonders Duel, which was amazing. The man is just a legend when it comes to designing a lot of good games in general. Maybe not necessarily top 100 material on my list, but just consistently good stuff he puts out. Abyss, fantastic game. So yeah, I think Bruno Cathala would be certainly one that I would pick. Failing that, you could do pretty well with Antoine Balzer. Tokaido, I think he did Takinoko. Where's Takinoko? I think that's downstairs, I think he did Takinoko. That should be really good. He co-designed Seven Wonders Duel. He obviously did Seven Wonders, which would be really good, as well as the new Seven Wonders Architect. The express review for Seven Wonders Architect will be going up tomorrow, by the way, for those interested. Spoiler alert, I like it, but you'll have to find out why. But yeah, so yeah, probably Bruno Cathala and Anton Balzer would be pretty good bets. Uwe Rosenberg maybe as well. Uwe Rosenberg, because you could get the light Polyomino style games as light games like Patchwork and that, and then if you want heavy stuff for the collection, you could get Fields of Arle and Caverna and all that lot. So yeah, he's done plenty of stuff. You could a bit of rinse repeat, but yeah, you could do pretty well with those. Right, we got any questions showing up? Come on, let's have a look. Come on, questions. I want to see questions. Oh, Carlos put his top 5 again. All right, well, good on you, mate. So what do we got there? Right, let's start off from Vincent's one here, and I'll carry on down. So, how do you like the event cards in Spirit Island? We played with them, but prefer to play without them because it speeds up the game. Speeds up the game, does it? I mean, it's not that much of an extra time to put them in, but I love using the event cards. When I played with Paul Grogan, we didn't use them because we were using the app, and I will play Spirit Island without them if need be, but I love the event cards. They throw a bit of thematic story in there from time to time, little narratives, but they bring up really interesting choices, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. You get an event and it's like, oh, that saved our bacon. But then you get another event that's like, oh, how are we going to decide how do we do this? Can we spend the cards? Can we spend the energy? Which option do we like? And I love using the event cards, but I understand if people don't want to use them. But personally, I will use them in every single game I can, providing everybody else is keen with that. My top 5 for that one. I mean, I would still probably... Ignacy Trevicek's done a lot of stuff from Portal, and 6 of his games were on my top 100, so I suppose Ignacy would be a personal one. Uri Rosenberg would probably be a personal one as well, and probably Bruno Kafala. I mean, one of those 3 designers I would probably do, who would it be? I mean, top 5 from a single designer or top 5 designers? I mean, certainly I've mentioned 3 designers already, so that would probably go pretty well. What have we got here? My friends have been recommending Cowboy Bebop to me as well, but I'm still finishing off The Legend of Korra and Arcane on the Netflix front. It's on the list, though. I don't know what this Arcane thing is. I watched a trailer of it. It didn't really interest me, but Legend of Korra, yeah, I loved. Oh, man, I didn't realize I would love Avatar and Legend of Korra as much as I did. I thought, like, on a couple of Nickelodeon series, am I going to enjoy these? But wow. I mean, watching the series, I thought this is character development done right, with some good animation and good action throughout and some good humor. It's like, that's such a good series. Avatar beats Legend of Korra, but both of them are really good. And yeah, just better than I thought. But the thing is, after watching the series, I now completely understand just how much of a travesty the movie was that M. Night Shyamalan did. I mean, the movie already sucked when I watched it before, but then I watched the Nickelodeon series and it's like, oh man, you killed it. You killed this series, you evil man. It's like, God, that was a travesty. What do we got? What question do I need to ask to have my question pop up on your screen? I'm making them pop up on the screen. So, basically I can go, whoop, whoop, whoop. I click and bring them up. So basically I'm just scrolling through the comments, and when I come up with a question, then I bring it up. At least I try to. I'm trying to micromanage everything. Okay. What am I drinking? I am drinking the finest that Taunton has... Well, actually, no. The second finest cider that Taunton has to offer. The Taunton Cider Company is literally in my old hometown of Taunton in Somerset. But you want the best cider from Somerset in Taunton, you are talking Sheppey's. Sheppey's is just outside of our town centre. Best place for cider. There's like Sheppey cider is so good. I love it, and maybe there's a bit of bias there because it's in my hometown, but yeah, Sheppey's for the win. But this one's pretty good as well. I basically bought a box of this when it was on a special offer. Get 2 boxes for the price of 3. That was several months ago. I've only got 3 more bottles after this left. All right, what do we got? I can only do so many top 5 and top 10 lists on this, in order to get to other people's questions. But I mean, I couldn't rank my Marvel Champion superheroes because I haven't tried them all yet. I've had Nebula sitting over there for ages. I still haven't tried her. I've got Valkyrie and War Machine, I think, are releasing this week and next week. So, and obviously I haven't even tried Galaxy's Most Wanted yet. And I haven't even tried all the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I can't really do a top 10 list for that because I just don't get the game played often enough to be an expert at it. But who do I like a lot so far? Captain America is a really great hero to play. Doctor Strange is really good. Spider-Man's epic. Who's fun in a good way? I'm trying to think. Gamora was pretty good fun. Ant-Man is good fun, constantly like going up and down different sizes. Already, that's good fun mechanic. Not the biggest fan of 4, not the biggest fan of the other base set ones. Oh, Iron Man's quite fun when you team them up. I'm trying to think who else. Quicksilver's cool. Quicksilver was pretty good fun. Wonder, hit and miss. Trying to think who else out of all of them. Hawkeye I had some good fun with. I did a Hawkeye and Captain America team up against Kang, which went pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, I can't really think of a top 10 for it, but Marvel Champions is just a fantastic game. It's just, I mean, I've got so much content that I just need to catch up. Raptor, as in the board game, I liked it. It was on my top 100 a few years ago. I sold it. The problem with Raptor is that it's... Oh, Raptor's a Bruno Cafala game, isn't it? So I suppose that could work. Yeah, I mean, it's a good two-player game. The problem I had with Raptor is that you've got to teach two separate games effectively, and it's not very new gamer friendly. You've got to learn all the different card effects as well as all the action point stuff. It was just hard to get to the table, and only being a two-player doesn't help my circumstances. You know, smallest violin ever. What do we got? Everyone's agreeing with, let's see, Uwe Rosenberg for the top 5 designer thing. What is the ugliest game you still like to play? Ugliest game, yes, because I mean, I love artwork, I love aesthetics, but even I will see an ugly game and still go with it. Let's see. Looking at my shelf. Most of the stuff is pretty, I must say. Automania. No, there's got to be a better one than that. It's got to be something in my top 100 that is ugly, and I still like to play it. Awkward Guess is pretty ugly, but that's not top 100. No, they're all pretty good looking. That's not top 100. That's not top 100. Oh, Imperium. Imperium was in my top 100 from Osprey Games, and that's a pretty ugly game. Very ugly components. The artwork's a bit bleh. You know, that's definitely one. Trying to think what else there could be. I tend to go for a lot of the nice looking games. Pulsar 2849 looks fairly nice on the table. It's just completely themeless, so I suppose that doesn't really count. Let me have a look. I'm not going to show this on the channel because I don't want to spoil too much, but let me have a look. Advanced search. I'm going to say, I used to like Ethnos, but Ethnos kind of I burnt out on, and that is vomit-inducingly ugly, that game. But Ethnos is a pretty good one, but I wouldn't necessarily say I play it now. Let's go rated, search, don't search expansions, and we'll just quickly browse through my favorite games ever to see what's there. So, let's see, pretty, Dominion, very ugly deck builder, but I still really like that one. That's still good fun. Pretty. Most of the ones that I've got as ugly games are games that I detest, like Power Grid, for example. Ugly as all get out, and I hate it. So, yeah, they're kind of linked. Same with Castles of Burgundy. Let's see. Nope, pretty. Wingspan, pretty. Ticket to Ride, pretty. Caverna, pretty. Marvel Champions, pretty. There's a lot of pretty stuff that I like, actually. I can't think that there's many ugly games. Tigris and Euphrates? Not sure if that counts. Oh, man, yeah, I just like pretty games, it seems. I really can't think of many. I mean, I mentioned a few there already, which are not necessarily top 100s, but yeah, some people might say Sentinels in the Multiverse, but no, I think Sentinel Multiverse has got a nice look to it. I wouldn't call it ugly. That's gorgeous, that's gorgeous. Suburbia. Before Collector's Edition, that was a pretty ugly game. No, that's good. That's gorgeous. That's fine. Nations. Oh, yeah, Nations is pretty. Yeah, Nations is quite hard for me, and that's ugly as all get out. Oh, Innovation. Perfect. Yes, found it. The perfect one. Innovation. Love this card game. Such a good card game. But, man, if you don't have the yellow version of this game, it is ugly. Ugly cards. It's just got very nice, simple graphic design. But yeah, this is not a looker. The yellow version is nicer, but still not fantastic. But it doesn't have all the expansions. I wanted the updated version. But yeah, the new 3rd edition of it or something, not a looker. It's a very abstracted card game. That's definitely, I think, got to be one of my favorite ugly games. That's definitely a good one there. Have you played any good video games recently? New? I mean, I still play my regular Deep Rock Galactic, which I still love. The new update came out last week, so I can try out new weapons and that, which is really cool. What else? Thinking of new games. Bought Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight being the kind of the game that came before Ori. because I love the Ori games. Ori and the Will o' the Wisps and the Cursed or something Earth. I can't remember what the first game was called, but the Ori games, if you like the Metroidvania style 2D platformers, Ori is the benchmark, pinnacle, best ever I've seen of that genre. It is so good. Beautiful, fun to play, fluid, great soundtrack. I listen to it in the car still, and it will make you shed a tear at times. Honestly, they are really good games. Hollow Knight, I'd heard good things about. It looks good. It's not my favourite art style in that, and I'm kind of wandering around, meandering, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm enjoying it. Friends of ours, we bought a game called something Winter. It's not called Endless Winter, it's something else Winter, but it's meant to be a bit like Among Us, but you're trying to survive in a winter hellish landscape, and two of you are still trying to be a traitor to the party. We haven't yet tried that yet. Dawn of War, I bought the original Dawn of War recently, so me and some mates can play that online every now and again. And I'm playing a lot more of Stellaris with some people on Sunday nights, and also Borderlands 3 I'm playing a bit more of lately. I'd be interested to get some of the simulator games, like like some of the weird ones, like Gas Station Simulator or something, because they look like fun for me to play. But yeah, I'm mainly just playing the same games that I've been playing, that have been on my system for a while. Vermintide 2, I think I bought in the Steam sale, and I still yet to get it actually played. But still, I bought it because it was cheap. What do you think about the World Series of Gaming? Are you going? A, no, I'm not going. And B, I'm not really that interested in it. I mean, the World Series of Board Gaming is basically a competition, isn't it? Where does it go? So, here we go. I mean, I can't go to it because it's in Vegas. I live in the UK. But, you know, here we go. World Series of Board Gaming, Championship Games, hosted in Vegas. The problem is this. I hate this. Prize money and awards. Board games are supposed to be fun. I want to... Yes, you play to win, but I want them to be fun. As soon as you play anything in a tournament setting, the fun goes out the window because people are trying to win a prize. There's an incentive to winning, and people will do whatever it takes. I don't care about trying to win prize money for board games. And even then, I mean, weird selection of games. I mean, Splendor and Seven Wonders? I mean, Seven Wonders is got luck involved in it, so how can you say you're the best at Seven Wonders? Wingspan, fine. Brass Birmingham, I'd fall asleep playing that anyway. Dominant Species Marine's a weird one to choose. I mean, I like it, it's on my shelf, but Odd and Acquire? That's a weird combination of games to play, and Great Western Trail, Dune Imperium, Ra. This is just a weird combination of games, but I've got no interest in this, honestly. I don't want to play games as a competition. I never play in tournaments. I play multiplayer co-op games, like the Arkham Horror LCG events and various other co-op ones. I will play a co-op game like that, but I won't play competitive tournaments. I'm just done with that. I'm done with that setting. I want to enjoy games, and I feel that this is just going to... this would just make me concentrate more on trying to win cash than enjoy the game. Not for me, not interested, whatever. Let it do what it likes. Got there. Behind on watching some shows. I want to visit Why the Last Man. I know very little about that. Arcane, I think, is the League of Legends animated show or whatever it is, but I never liked League of Legends, so I wouldn't understand the first thing about it. What have we got there? They're in the app now, by the way, if you're up for a game. Oh, if you're talking about Spirit Island events, maybe? I'm not sure. What are the most useful promos for any board game? Often they are useless or even untested. What ones are truly good and worth playing with? Honestly, to be honest, I can't really think of many, because I agree with you. I don't like promos. Promos, for the most part, are useless and untested, as you say. Some promos are good if they just add to the variety and nothing else. Like Onitama, you can get some promo movement cards. There's no funky rules with them, it's just more pattern cards. Nice. Slip them in, you wouldn't even notice they were promos. But a lot of them, like Glass Road I opened earlier, and it had like a Christmas Hut promo, but there's a specific rule for how it works, and it's just, I can't be bothered with that. We were playing Caverna last night with some friends, and... with the Caverna, they showed me the promo that they had. It was like the Christmas one there, and there was like a dormitory room that you could build, and the dormitory is like overpowered as all get out, but that would just unbalance the game. But then you can get Halflings as a promo race faction for Caverna. I don't think they're overpowered, but it's another race. So a good promo for a game is another player power board, or such and such. Like, for example, the best ones I know of is Garphill Games, Architects of the West Kingdom. You can get, and you had one set of characters, one for each color. You could get another character for each color as promos. Definitely worth getting them, because you end up with so many player characters that you can pick from. It really does elevate the game. But yeah, I don't really care about promos that much. You know, promos, again, they just kind of get in the way. And it costs a lot of money. How many games which you don't own are on your top 100? None. Every game on my top 100 is in my collection. There is not a single game that could be in my top 100 that I don't own, because if I like it that much, I've gone out of my way to own it. That's kind of the deal. I would want to own every game that's in my top 100. But there are games that aren't in my top 100. Near and Far, War Chest, Forbidden Stars, Chaos in the Old World, the 2010 Civilization game, Smash Up. Yeah, a bunch of games in my collection that aren't in my top 100, but no, if it's in my top 100, I own a copy of it. Definitely give Spirit Island another play. Where do I rank Too Many Bones? I rank it a 6. In fact, I'd probably rank it a 5 by now, but I ranked it a 6 in my review that I did last summer, I believe. Check out that video if you want to know why. But long story short, very random, too expensive. The skirmish map is a rugby scrum. It's like, oh, this is a tactical skirmish play with movement. No, it's not. It's a 4x4 grid where as soon as you start every single round, the monsters and your players just basically go, hut, 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 grr, and then stay there and just fight each other until someone dies. It's overrated game, I think, and way too expensive. And God, the rules are horribly written. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that game, but I love the variety in it, and I like the differentiation between the characters and the different paths that you can take with each character, and it is well produced. But yeah, I gave it a 6. 5 or 6. I'm not on the Too Many Bones bandwagon. The top 10 sexiest board game designers? No. We will not objectify designers like that. Top 10 games that you upgraded would be cool. Top 10 games that I've upgraded or pimped out. I guess I could do 10. The problem is some of those would just be inserts, and I don't really think it's worth talking about 10 games that I just happened to put inserts for. I mean, if you want to know my opinion on some of the best inserts, watch my folded space videos that I did, and even the E-Raptor ones from last year, but definitely the 2 or 3, I think it was 2 or 3 folded space videos I've done, where I've gone through a ton of them because they tend to send me a batch of them on request, and then I put them in my games and I review them on a video to show you what's in them. Watch those videos. Running out of breath. Let's see, we're on an hour 45 minutes. I will keep this going to 2 hours max because my throat is starting to tickle a lot. The movie was so bad. That must have been about Avatar. Yes, it was. So bad. The oldest design in my collection. Do you mean oldest designer or oldest game? Oldest game. I mean, let's exclude things like chess and that, because obviously that would be older. Although I don't think I actually own a chessboard anymore. But oldest game. Probably Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter was originally designed in the 1970s. That one is probably the oldest game I have. I can't think I own a game that is older. No, definitely I think that. I don't think I own any 1960s games. No. Probably Cosmic Encounter. If you're going by original version of it, obviously not the Fantasy Flight version that I have over there. Where do we go? That worked, haha. This is the problem when I get to the comments later. I'm kind of missing a beat. He didn't see the irony, but it still worked. As I have lost the plot by the time I get down the comments page. We got Yummy Cider. Yes, Yummy Cider. Please get a copy of Beyond the Sun. If I can find a copy, I'll try it. I mean, yes, that is an ugly board game, definitely. But let me show you something here. UK board game prices. Find the best deals on board games in the UK. Beyond the Sun. Okay. Whoop. Okay, who has a copy of it? Oh, a lot of people apparently. Really? Has it recently just come back into stock in the UK there? Because there's a lot of UK suppliers that have got it. I've never even heard of Kendo. Who's Kendo? But play board games. I mean, Zatu. Have they got it then? Zatu. Rules of play, dice and decks have gone it. Quite expensive, but I don't know. Play board games. Let's have a look. Well, let's try Zatu first. Zatu. Oh. Oh, okay. It's been. Oh, I didn't realize it recently got a reprinting in the UK. I might have to look at getting a copy of that. But the problem is, it looks so ugly. Look at this game. Beyond the Sun. People have been telling me that this is a great game. Maybe I'll like it, because the idea of tech trees, is a theme I'd like. But the cover is the nicest looking bit of it. That's probably that's a rendered picture, so it looks a bit better there with the spacey background. But when you get this out on the board without this background or something, it's ugly. It's a spreadsheet looking game, but people say it's really, really good. That looks horrible. It could be amazing, but for £60+ I want to play it. I really, really, really do want to play this game. But you're going to have to teach me it, I think. I just don't know if I want to shell out that much money on a gamble. I know it's on Board Game Arena, but I don't like Board Game Arena to be my first way to learn a game. So, somebody please teach me this game. I want to play it, but man, it's ugly. Very, very ugly. What do we got then? Thanks, Christoph. That's alright. Watch the video at another time in your own discretion, but love you too, alright? Lily's cider is better. No, it is not. Lily's is good, though. Lily's is good cider. I'll give them that. When they're not doing their weird, like, oh, I'm new to cider, alka-poppy type flavors. It's like, no. But they do some pretty good strong stuff, like dark cider and a couple of others. But I'm sorry, you can't beat Sheppy's. I am a cider fiend. Well, come on. I'm from the West Country in Somerset. What do you expect? Thing is, I didn't even start to like cider until I was 18, 19 years old. Sort of in the middle of university. Took me a while before I got my cider taste buds, put it that way. And because I'm getting older, I get hangovers easier, so I can't really binge drink a lot, so I don't do it anymore. But, so I have like 1 or 2 drinks max, and then I'm kind of good, really. But it means that I pay more attention to getting quality rather than quantity. And certainly I will certainly take cider for Christmas. You going to buy me some? Hexy Beast? You going to come around and buy me some cider? That'd be great. Ethnos is definitely ugliest game. I'd say Innovation would probably be the ugliest one in my collection. What have we got there? Will you play Maracaibo with a new expansion before getting rid of it? Nope, because I've already sold it. Somebody at GridCon, I think, MerryCon next week has already bought it off me, and I'm selling it off. Like I say, I prefer, from the review, Boon Lake just edges out Maracaibo, and the expansion, I mean, yes, some asymmetric player powers is fine, but there's still bits in the base game of Maracaibo that irk me a little bit. And it's an expensive expansion. I mean, it was like £40-something, £45 or something to get the expansion. I'm sorry, I'm not paying the cost of a full-fledged game just to hope that maybe Maracaibo goes up a little bit. Maracaibo has been on the danger point for falling out of my collection for a while. Boon Lake just sealed the nail in the coffin. Not that I dislike the game, but it's a 7 out of 10 max. I can't find a space for it. 2 for the price of 3 alcohol content hat. No, but it's basically it was a special offer they did, so I managed to get 36 bottles for the price of 24. So it was a good deal. It was on Instagram. They were advertising it a lot. Favorite aspect in Marvel Champions. I quite like. I mean, if we're talking winning games or actually like enjoying the fun. Winning games would probably be aggression. Aggression tends to win me more games because it's a case of kill the enemy quick before they get a chance to do anything. But I do enjoy playing protection a lot. I like being the kind of high defense, help out the other players if I'm playing in a multiplayer, rebound the damage back at the opponent. I like protection quite a bit. Not the biggest fan of leadership. I find that people say leadership's really overpowered. It's so expensive to get allies out, and then they've only got like a couple of uses, and then they go away. I don't know what it is about leadership that I just can't seem to play that aspect very well. Justice is okay. Justice has been getting better, but again, rather than just being really good at taking out the scheme, I'd rather take out the enemy. So I tend to be more protection and aggression as my aspects. Any game night disaster moments? Game night disasters. Well, not really in the case of spillages and that. I mean, I haven't really had any games where people have got irate at each other or angry. Although we did play with... No, actually, that was ages ago. No, that's nothing special. But, I mean, I remember when I used to play Magic the Gathering back in university, there was a few goth characters I used to know who were pretty good at the game, give them credit. But then I came along, learned it really quickly, beat them, and wow, they did not take losing very lightly. Getting death threats is not a good thing to get from somebody who was a Magic the Gathering player. Trust me, some weird folk out there. Hence, I don't do competition tournaments anymore. But spills, not really. I mean, I spilled coffee on my Raiders of the North Sea playmat at one point, but you can barely notice it now. Game night disasters. I mean, game convention disasters, maybe. A few weeks back, I went to Shake, Battle and Roll, a local convention, and it got cancelled after the first day and a half because it was torrential rain and something must have gone wrong in the infrastructure of the Hilton Hotel. But basically, rain was coming through the ceiling of various floors. And it started off as trickles. I was like, oh, that bit's leaking. That's a bit weird. But then it was gushing through multiple bits of the ceilings. It was like literally a waterfall to get into the men's loos. And eventually they just had to cancel it because people were just in danger of getting all their games wet. You know, they had to evacuate off the area. And then eventually ceilings actually collapsed in areas of the hotel. So it was pretty insane. God knows what had been going on. Because that's not just, oh, it's a bit wet outside, therefore my hotel falls apart. No, that was some long-term damage that had just taken a while to store up, and then suddenly, bleh, you know, that was a disaster and a half. Have I looked at hegemony? Nope. Too many things to do, and I'm trying to hold back on Kickstarters at the moment without backing too many. Hence, I didn't look at Lords of Ragnarok and a couple of others lately. But is this the hegemony, a game of strategic choices? Is this it? I mean, that's ugly. There's only 2 boxes there. Is that the one? No, there's a different one in there. Hedge money. Come on. It's not that one. It's got to be a different one, surely. How do you spell it? Hegemony. All right. Hedge. I don't know. I mean, call your game something that I can find. All right, this is the one, is it? Right. Lead your... Oh. Ooh. Vangelis Badgetakis has designed it. Okay, that means I might be able to get into this one, but this is the one where it's about being either the working class, the upper class, or something else, isn't it? I mean, the theme doesn't really sing to me, but that designer has done some half-decent stuff. It's asymmetric, don't really care about politico-economic, but could it be fun? I don't know. I mean, I would never really want to back this. Looks a little abstracted, but it's got some bits to it. I'd play it, but I've not really paid much attention to it. This isn't really a game that I could see myself backing on Kickstarter. But when it comes out, if I get a chance to play it, I will. What have we got? 4 minutes left. All right, so... All right, no more questions. Don't put any more questions down in the comments because I'm pretty much going to go to 2 hours and stop. So, what have we got then? Carpe Diem. It's a Stephen Feld game. Hate it. I've not played it, but it looked god-awful ugly. It's had multiple versions, and it still looks ugly every time. There is nothing about Carpe Diem that appeals to me. Terraforming Mars is ugly? Yes. Sentinels of the Multiverse is not ugly. Shame on you, Kabuki. Puerto Rico, yeah, it's pretty ugly. Top 10. I can't do top 10s. I see now. Top 10 Vincent Dutrait art games. I don't know. I don't think I enjoy 10 games that are illustrated by him. I don't know. But, I mean, there's lots of other artists. And to be honest, Vincent Dutrait does a lot of cool art. And he's done a lot. But he's not my favourite artist by a fair long shot. There are other artists I prefer. Alright, let's have a look. Ethnos doesn't look bad. I'm sorry, you're mocking me for Sentinels in the Multiverse and you're going to say Ethnos doesn't look too bad? No, wrong. It's like, everything in that game is ugly. We got Antiquity, ugly, but not played it. Let's see. Oh, everyone's talking about art. Wow. What have we got there? Yep, lots of stuff. Roads and Boats is ugly. Yeah, also looks like a horrible game. Nah, Innovation is pretty ugly. Pretty ugly. What's your least favourite themes? Trade in the Mediterranean would be one. Stock market manipulation would be another. Trains is definitely one. Yes, there are some network building games I like, but yeah, trains, not an interesting topic area. Trade in the Mediterranean, anything to do with like basic medieval church, appeal to the church, that kind of thing. That classic medieval theme. Yeah, those would definitely be some of the worst. Political games, not particularly interested in either, like historical based ones. It's not my genre. Hollow Knight is fantastic. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. But I spent a while meandering around the first area because I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go next. It doesn't really guide you on a path. You kind of just have to hope for the best, and I don't want to spend all the time just wandering. I found where I need to go, and it's gotten a little bit better, but as I say, I'm liking it, but it doesn't hold a candle to Ori. My kids won't let me play their video games. Well, then buy some of your own. I don't have a console. I only have PC. So I like pretty video games too. Well, certainly more than the ugly ones. I mean, I don't have any indie-based ones that are like pixelated stuff. I mean, I have no interest in something like Minecraft and that. But then, I mean, Deep Rock Galactic's not the nicest looking game in the world. It's 3D and now, but it's not exactly AAA title graphics. But it's just really addictive and good fun. Borderlands is pretty pretty though. Borderlands 3. This guy gets my approval. Well, thank you, Sonic. Best dexterity game for a person with no fingers. I'm not even sure such a thing would exist. Possibly tumbling dice if you're willing to take the dice into your mouth and spit them out, but that would get a bit gross. I've already mentioned Hegemony. Somebody mentioned that earlier. I haven't looked at it. I'll play it, but I don't think it's something that I'm going to necessarily go bad for. Should play Undertale, Epic Story. Maybe. I didn't play the expansion. I just played some extra gear locks. But yeah, the base set of Too Many Bones has no story whatsoever. What have we got there? What type of games would you like to see get the Marvel or DC treatment? Well, we've had enough deck builders for each. Have I seen Eternals? No, I haven't. The reviews have put me off it. It sounds like it's going to be pretty bland. If it comes out on Disney Plus, I'll watch it for free rather than go to the cinema. But I've no interest in watching it in the cinema. The reviews have kind of put me off. And I know nothing about the Eternals. But Marvel and DC treatment for a game. I mean, something like Sentinels of the Multiverse, Freedom 5, whatever it was. Like a dudes on a map, co-op superhero game. With DC or Marvel. That'd be pretty sweet. Frostpunk, I've definitely... Oh yes, I've got that. And This War of Mine. I've got This War of Mine and Frostpunk on the PC. I haven't played them in a while, but yeah, they were really good. Tournaments aren't my thing either. Yes, it is late in the UK. It's 10 o'clock at the moment, and I'll be signing off any minute now. In fact, I'm going to scroll very quickly just to see if there's any question that catches my attention. No, most people are just chatting, which is cool. Is it cold? Cold, but not in my house at the moment. It's a new build house, so it's pretty warm, which is the problem in the summer. Why pay the same price for a game just for an insert? Because folded space is a very cheap insert, so they're not the full price of a game. And if it's a game I really, really, really enjoy, and setup is a bit of a pain, it's worth it. Drink more cider. Okay. Okay, there you go. Happy. When I look for a girlfriend, do you look for ladies that are also into board games? Sorry if too personal. In fact, I'm going to make this the last question that I do. Sorry, no more questions. This will be the last one I do because I do need to sign off at some point. But sorry if too personal. It's not personal because, to be honest, I'm a bit of an open book when it comes to personal stuff. But, well, to an extent. But not as much as me, but I'm glad she does. Now, I will say, I've lost track of 4 or 5 girlfriends since my 20s. Short term, as I say, it's hard to, as a board game nerd, as an accountant, it's hard to find girlfriends, period. But yeah, would I love a girlfriend that was into games? Yes, it would make my world to meet a really nice girl who was into board games. Do they have to be? No. I mean, the girlfriends that I've had in the past have not been into board games at all. I've had to show them it, and they've at least been interested to learn more. Although, to be fair, one girlfriend that I had, who the only reason we split was because of long distance getting in the way, was completely not into my games. Hated them. In fact, the only one I could get her to play was Hanabi as a 2-player. But we did other things. We went hiking. We ate out. We did movie nights. I helped her out with her horse riding and stuff. So we did other things together. And that's the thing. I've got plenty of mates and people at the Dice Portsmouth Cafe and Bitsy Board in the City and conventions to play board games with. I don't need my girlfriend to also be into it. But given that it's a big part of my life, it couldn't hurt. But they don't have to be mad into games. I'd be perfectly fine if they just played Ticket to Ride and Catan. And that was it. And maybe Sushi Go. And they're like, I've played some games. What else is there? Great. I have a ton of 2-player only games that I don't get played often. I've got gateway games I could teach them. And they could be... When I started into board games, I was like a kid in the candy store, the amount of choice. Then someone else can be a kid in the candy store and I get to see them, like, their smile whenever they're playing games. So, I mean, I would love for a future girlfriend to like games. But it's not that important. I feel like I could still be happy with someone who wasn't that into games as long as they were into my other interests like movies, hiking, traveling, fitness, food and drink, cooking, eating out, that kind of thing. Then that'd be great. But if we're being perfectly honest, yes, I would certainly like them to be into games. They don't have to be at my level of into games, like crazy about them. But just to have an interest would be nice, It just would be easier to sort of do conversation with. But as I say, that would be kind of my shtick for it. But yeah, like I say, looking being the operative word. But online dating has died. Online dating died a death during lockdown, I think, because people weren't willing to meet in person. And now online dating apps and stuff are just rubbish now. They just don't find you anything. Most of them are fake profiles. So yeah. Online dating's died, so that doesn't leave me with many avenues for meeting new girls, unfortunately. So it's just kind of a story of my life. But yeah, like I say, not personal, it's just the way it is. So yep, that'll do. There's a bunch of oh god, there's a bunch of other comments here, but yeah. Sounds like time is the constraint. Yeah, time is a big constraint. I mean, job, blog, social life. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there. Boyfriend isn't a board gamer. He plays the very lightest of board games, and only sometimes I get most of my gaming in my gaming group. That's the thing. I could find other people to play games with. It doesn't have to be the girlfriend. It would be nice, though, because the 2-player games and the gateway ones, if she lived here, for example, we could have an evening in where I cook her a meal, and then we play some 2-player light games. That'd be great. It would be a really good fun night. Granted, if they really, really hated games, we would definitely have to make up for that with other interests. Because I do believe that a relationship that works must have a decent amount of common interests. Because if you have a completely opposite interests to each other, I just don't think it works. People can prove me wrong on that, but I have been with exes where there just wasn't enough common interests and it just dies a slow death. You just get bored because you can't share stuff together, and it's like, not great. So yeah, it doesn't kind of work. But anyway, get out of the way. I just noticed, got this sent to me this morning as well. Pier 18 from Alley Cat Games, an 18 card game. How good can this be? We'll find out. I've got to do a review on it, although I'm not going to do a full-fledged video on it, but what I'll do is I'll try and play it before next week's podcast, and I'll give you a mini review on the podcast episode. But yeah, kind of interesting. When you're not looking for a girlfriend, you find. That's what my mum tells me all the time. Sadly, I've yet to see that actually be the case. Never has a girlfriend just turned up on my doorstep. I'd love it to, but no, it doesn't happen. But anyway, right, so I'm going to sign off here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who's followed the Top 100. If you have not looked at the Top 100, by all means, check it out. It's definitely a fun series. It takes a lot of effort to do. I do not just switch the camera on and talk on my videos. There's editing. There's all sorts of stuff I do. So, yeah, a lot of time, a lot of hours goes into that. No, I'm not going to get some sleep, although, to be fair, probably could do with a little bit of sleep, but it's 10 past 10. I think I'm going to go and watch the rest of Cowboy Bebop. I got 3 episodes. That will take me about an hour and a bit, and then I could get an earlier night. Yeah, once I've done the time, actually, once I've done a couple of timestamps for this, I'll go downstairs and I'll watch the rest of Cowboy Bebop. So 3 episodes, that'll be pretty cool. What am I on? Subscriber wise, I am on 14,974. Okay, it was wishful thinking to think that would go to 15,000 in this stream. But yeah, that's been going up quite a lot lately, even without the top 100. So 26 subscribers to hit the next milestone. That's going to be a big one. But yeah, thanks for all the questions. Thanks for thanks for everybody who's been supporting. Thanks for everyone who's interested in all the Aftermath stuff. Love you all. Check out my other content. Don't forget to hashtag support small creators. You know, we've had the Nerd Shelves and Hexy Beast in this chat, so by all means check out their channels, as well as anybody else who has a channel in this chat that I might have missed. Sorry, but yeah, like I say, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next live stream or next video. So. And like I say, I will be getting back to top 10 collaborations very soon. I just need to actually arrange one. So maybe it's about time I gave the Nerd Shells a call. Eh? Well, like I say, we're definitely going to be doing some more of those. So take care. See you all. And speak again. Bye for now.